Good afternoon. Today we are going to be live in the last part of the day here because we're going to look at those FOMC minutes, and then we're also going to stay on in case we can get a good look at the Nvidia earnings. Okay, so we're going to check out both of those for today. Coming in at the end of the day, most of the time we will just be doing the morning stream. And then in the last 10 minutes, we are going to go through all of the stocks just really quick because we want to save some of this info for the live video. What were we talking about when overall ended? Overall, I think we were talking about how this thing could break to the upside. They're talking about Trump defended Nikki Haley again or something. So, but I think when we did leave off, we were stating how if we start to break down from here, look for some kind of divergence. We have something you could probably consider divergence at this point, but really you're just seeing the RSI kind of coil up, get tight, looking for a big move one way or the other. We're still in negative territory, so if we do get bad news with FOMC, we can tear down, look for that support maybe around the daily and the weekly. If we start to lose that and then we get more rampant selling from the Nvidia earnings, it can get pretty ugly pretty quick. If we're going to head up from here, most likely we're going to come up into this area, create some kind of right shoulder, almost like a cup and handle plus a head and shoulders, and we'll start to head up. So we're going to go over a lot of this stuff. We're going to see how it develops while people are reacting to that FOMC minute. I did change the mic, so if someone could, if you guys would not mind telling me if the mic sounds okay, I had to change it a little bit so you guys, I put a little suppressor on it so that you guys might not hear any crying or anything like that from the baby. And plus, hey Wordy, what's up? Sounds good? Okay, good. As long as this level is good, then I'm happy. Looks like it's going right into the perfect spot where I want it. Thank you, Mr. English. Thanks you, Gilberto. Welcome back, guys. Make sure to smash that like button. Let's get this thing going a little bit. And let's have some fun in here. Let's get a bunch of people in here so we can have some fun for this Nvidia earnings. Now, one thing we're still waiting for the overall confirmation. This really did confirm yesterday, this divergence, and now we're kind of tapering off down a little. So now we have a 15-minute divergence behind it. Looking for that strength to really come in. If we started to react and we want to make a new all-time high again, this is going to be really good news. Yeah, you guys can't hear that. That's good. Okay, so if we're actually going to see the market head higher from here, right now you did have this head and shoulders. We broke through it. We retested the bottom area. We're rejecting right now, but we do see those divergences. So we're going to go the other way. Really, we would like to see this type of thing happen, then explode up. That's at least how I see it. How you doing, by the way? I'm doing good. I mean, honestly, I tried to get down and sleep for a little bit. You know, when you have a newborn, you got to sleep when you can. So I tried to snooze a little bit so I had some energy for you guys, but she did not want to go down easy. She's a premature weight, so she has to eat a lot. She eats a lot, and so it kind of gives her some, what is it? Not indigestion. Gosh, what is it called? Not heartburn. Acid reflux. She gets some acid reflux. That's pretty bad, and so once she gets that, she just can't lay flat. She has to be upright, so we kind of just have to hold her. I think I dozed off for like 30 minutes. Nvidia's earnings will be in 10 minutes. I'm right. Nvidia earnings is after hours. If you just go to your chart and click on the earnings, you'll see a little moon. That means it's after hours. 10 minutes is the FOMC minutes. That's really why we're here right now. Yeah, that's overall why we're here right now. We're going to watch the reaction to the FOMC. I might even pull it up on the screen so we can read through it a little bit. I got to remember to talk forward. I wish my mic was like right here instead. I'd have a lot going on this side. I'd have a screen, I have a camera. Oof, that'd be a lot. Yeah, how's everyone's day going? Did we see any trades happening, anything like that? I might look at the Qs. Oh yeah, and Nvidia as well. Right now you do have that divergence. It's closer to positive territory. This really could flip either way. And we're coming into that area we were talking about down here towards this 663. We actually got to about 666. That's not good. 666. Warming the bench today. Hey, that's sometimes the best thing to do. Wait for the craziness to be over, because this type of behavior here on AMD could, the structure at least is saying, hey, there's weakness here. This is not necessarily strength at this point. The only thing you got going for you on AMD on this 15-minute is you're close to positive territory. But if this rolls down, you just built up all this liquidity. It can roll down pretty quick. Maybe you get a divergence and it pops back out outside of its range. I gave you guys that earlier. It's about 161 just below here. So if you get a reaction down, we got that 68% chance to land back up in here. So let's just pay attention, right? Like days like today, honestly, for a technical trader, suck. It really does. You kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and be like, hey, I could have all the technical data in the world, but if the Fed just says something that makes people positive, then it's going to be positive. If they say something that's negative, it's going to be negative. And then sometimes people actually do react positively to negative news as well. So you just really have to pay attention. But if we wanted to break down from here, it would make a lot of sense. Right now, even though the opposite side of the spectrum is we create something like this, right? This bearish thing is, this is the left, here's the head, and now we're getting the right shoulder, and we're about to see that roll over. So there's just a lot that can happen. A lot. A lot to pay attention to today. All right, and we got 6 minutes. 6 minutes until, let's go. I'm going to look over at Bloomberg. Make sure to smash the like button. Let's see what they're talking about.
Department specifically, I think they have an office at NVIDIA headquarters at this point, Kaylee, because they're talking every day.
Yeah, because it's how does NVIDIA work around to make chips specifically for China that don't allow China to do things that the U.S. would not like it to do from a national security perspective? It raises a lot of questions about that market. And you mentioned the Commerce Department, Joe. It's worth noting the Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, was actually talking about
Tesla
how the U.S. needs more chips to fund the AI future, and that at this point she thinks that
now we might complete another cup,
took
right?
Their eye off the ball in terms of forwarding those chip efforts.
Handle.
So it'll be interesting to see if we get any commentary from the company on that as well.
We'll have to, right? There's going to have to be a mention of China, and I'm sure that'll spawn a whole round of headlines, whether they're positive or negative. It's something that we are still talking about with not only the administration, Kaylee, but the China
30-minute rolled up yet?
Involved in that.
30-minute looks wonky. People are waiting.
But we're going to turn our attention to all things Fed coming up on Bloomberg Business Week here. You ready for the minutes? We got to get out of the way.
Gives a bit of a hold.
I'm always ready for the minutes. Granted, the minutes are pretty backward looking because we're talking about the meeting.
Good choice.
We already know what they did. They held rates back in January, but it's going to be a question of, can we dissect anything to indicate what the picture is going forward, when the Fed might be thinking about when the start of rate cuts will be appropriate, as the market has kind of pushed back expectations as to when exactly that might happen.
Well, we stop down for this kind of stuff. And that's where Carol and Jennifer come in. Tim's not with us today, but I'm here in the room.
I'm just giving this a
Carol
listen for a sec
Ryan.
before we go into it.
The minutes are on the way. Kaylee, I'll meet you at 5 o'clock for more conversation around politics here. And we'll talk about NVIDIA too on Balance of Power at 5 o'clock. Carol and Jennifer, great to see you. Take it away.
Great. Kelly, guys, thank you so much. A very good afternoon, everybody. Live on Bloomberg Radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. I'm Carol Masser. Tim is out today. Lucky for us.
Okay, we're going to turn them off. We got 4 minutes, almost 3 minutes. We're just paying attention to what is actually said, and they're kind of right. They're kind of right to say, follow what they've said, but look for anything that's changed in what they are going to do down the line. So if they say we are open to rate cuts in June or something like that, or we are open to rate cuts by May, something like that will be a bullish thing in a lot of people's minds. And then we'll have to pay attention from there. We could get a post-Fed sell-off. We could get bad Nvidia earnings. Really, I think they're going to just say they're not cutting rates in March, and people might see that as negative. But will that be negative enough? Because this could just bring in some negativity, and then Nvidia earnings takes us through the roof one more time. So really just have to be trading like water today. Be willing to move around those rocks, and today those rocks are FOMC minutes and then Nvidia earnings. So we just have to react and end up going with the stream when it's all said and done. Go with the stream. Red days usually excite me. Opportunities for flash sales. Hey, definitely potential there. Gilberto, are you sitting on your hands? And I guess JD Lass, are you guys kind of sitting on your hands until the last second of today? Or are you more so... Sorry, this is kind of like right in my freaking nose. Or are you more so holding out for a better opportunity in the coming weeks? I think. Do anything by end of day after we get this FOMC. I'm going to read through that report. We got less than 2 minutes. Smash that like button. Whether you like the Fed or not, smash that like button, because that'll encourage me, hey, to come out whenever the Fed is speaking, whenever the Fed is has an interest rate decision, anything like that. Any big data drop most of the time comes in the morning, right? But a lot of this Fed stuff happens in the afternoon, so it would cause me to have to make another one. I need to make my set live video thumbnail. What are we thinking by end of day, Gilberto? Thing is, it's oversold, but we can get oversold. I mean, if you go look at a daily, guys, we go, well, let me see. Get rid of these seconds. We don't trade that way. The daily here, you are not oversold by any means. We are no way oversold. We're oversold on the shorter time frames. Even the 2 hours, not oversold yet. We could dip lower, then get a reaction up. We were talking about this, right? Boom, boom, boom. That's already happened. We got a retest. We're coming back down. We could flush, come back up, create that right shoulder. That's what we were talking about in our YouTube videos here. Maybe Friday after everything is absorbed. That's a good idea. Okay, so maybe tomorrow's your day. Once you full on see the reaction, maybe see if one of those stocks hasn't popped, if Nvidia pops, if it drops, then maybe one of those haven't dropped yet. 421 gap fill, let's go. Ooh, it might. I think it might. All right, 1 p.m. Let's go take a read over here. Let me go get a read on this. Let me make sure I have the updated one. Hoping this is the updated one. Do I have the updated one? Okay, we'll see. And we're seeing mixed behavior here. So the Federal Reserve kept the Fed funds rate unchanged at a 23-year high of 5.25 to 5.5 for a fourth consecutive meeting in January 2024, in line with expectations. Policymakers added that they do not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the rate until they have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. That is a different kind of talk here. And now they're saying gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. So now they're kind of saying, hey, we don't know if we have the full handle on it. That is a pretty different style of speaking. Now, this is a press conference, so this must be the last one. I need to find the newest. to just go look. I really like using this thing, but in doubt, go to Twitter. But we're not seeing a big reaction in the Qs. I mean, sure, we're selling down a little bit. Hey. February 21st. I don't know why mine's not wanting to load it. If anyone has any info on it right now. All right. Committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the long run. The committee judges that the risk to achieving its employment and inflation goals are moving into better balance. The economic outlook is uncertain, and the committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks. Goals. Let me just skim through. And if you guys find anything important, yeah, that first part there seems a little bit bullish. Every state of monetary policy, the committee will continue to monitor the implications of incoming information for the economic outlook, aka they are reacting off the info just like the market reacts off the info. A reactionary standpoint does not give me the feeling of they are in control, but this is overall bullish so far. The committee would be prepared to adjust the stance of monetary policy as appropriate if risk emerge that could impede the attainment of the committee's goals. So this means they are still, this is what we were talking about, they did state they are willing to keep those rate raises on the table now, probably because of that CPI going up. The committee does not expect it will appropriate to reduce the target range until it's gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. So that's telling me that they're not fully confident. A wide range of information, including readings on inflation expectations. Okay. That's it. That's all we get there, huh? Keep going. All right, let's see what they're saying about it.
2 years with monetary policy. So why are they choosing this moment to deviate from it? And I think these minutes reveal why. I think part of it is that they have been surprised by how strong the economy is relative to what they expected. And recall that a couple days before the FOMC meeting in January, they received the Q4 GDP number, which really surprised to the upside. And I think based on that assessment, they're thinking that maybe the neutral rate is
so far. It seems that way, and you're saying TLT is getting the reaction, it's dipping down.
Pandemic, and this is why that the Taylor rule, that the reaction function they're following, in fact, is experiencing a level shift upwards, and that could explain the rationale for why they are choosing to hold rates higher for longer.
Mike, come on in on this in terms
of
it's
just a higher for longer.
Right? Your take on what Anna's saying, and
yields
and
going
there is a reassessment here.
Well, there's definitely, if not
Apple dropping off, Tesla dropping. Well,
we've heard from several members of the committee since the meeting that they are looking at the possibility that the neutral rate has gotten higher, R-star as they like to call it in eco-nerd talk, that the economy is stronger and they will need to react to that. But the minutes make it clear at least as of January 31st that they would do that by leaning against faster growth at the same policy rate. They weren't going to raise rates going forward. They would just leave rates where they were for longer.
You know, I did, for both of you, actually, we'll start with Anna on this, but one thing that really struck me is that the chat has indeed turned to the possibility of interest rate increases. Obviously, since this FOMC decision, since the CPI announcement, since the jobs numbers. And I wondered for both of you, do you see that more as a possibility, especially you, Anna, if you might starting, given your assessment of where the Fed thinks the neutral rate is?
Which they didn't even mention cutting though, did they? Too much.
So I think that the likelihood is still tilted toward rate cuts rather than rate hikes. Our NLP Fed speed model
they're not going to raise rates. They're going to leave them where they are at unless we see a real uptick,
and that is quite similar to the
another probably uptick in
Treasury
CPI.
Secretary Larry Summers. But I think that given all the range of policy tailor rules that the Fed follows, none of them would say that the Fed should be hiking at this point.
And then, Mike, what do you think about the possibility of a hike at this point?
Now, if the Fed hikes, then something's breaking.
The rules and also what Fed officials are saying rule out any kind of rate hike at this point. If they felt the economy was
like a nothing burger, marketing for a rude awakening,
starting
they
to
just
become
want to
more
keep
of an
the
issue,
cards
they would
close
just
to their
leave
chest.
rates
I think
higher for
so.
longer to see what would happen. It's not on the table. Larry Summers put it there.
I like editing my own stuff because then I'm in control of like what.
Well, I go back to Mike some of the conversations we've had around this table that
goes out there for the most part. I just sit down, I look at what I'm going through because I watch it all day, and then I just
but having said that it is
kind of give my very genuine raw reaction to what is happening and what I think could happen soon and the signals that I see in front of me.
Is it just a case of staying higher for longer, or the possibility that
it's easy to hire an editor? I'm going to tell you, I'm not at the point where I need to hire an editor yet. It's not big enough for that yet.
I mean, is it silly for us to rule
something I would lean towards is I think people, I mean, you guys can tell me, do you enjoy my thumbnail?
Happen down the road, but it's going to be some time before
I appreciate the hustle.
Would even become an issue to be considered. The strength of the economy.
I'll keep it in mind. Keep it in mind if I get sick of it.
An effort to try to get down to a 2%.
I have a history in marketing, so I'm able to do thumbnails.
It could be very hard to do that. Get that last mile, that last percentage.
It is a ton of work, guys. This YouTube thing is a ton of work.
So
I started this at 0 subscribers. I think it was 6 or 7 months ago, maybe 7 months ago.
But they're not at this point looking to raise rates to push
down. So thank you guys. That's all because of you guys.
Mike, if we could just stick with you for a second, because I want to go back to the text of the minutes. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about what officials were thinking about their quantitative easing / quantitative tightening program.
Nvidia seeing this divergence, see if it's able to get into positive territory first.
It's been proceeding smoothly at the pace they've been going at.
Man, this thing might just trickle up into positive territory. Look at that. We're getting a little bit of a wick right at that top side of
eventual decision is the way they said it. But it has been
resistance trend line here
they have been seeing the
that we broke out of.
Funds decline as that's become less important, and so it's all pointing towards the fact that sometime in the future, maybe not too long from now, they will start.
Yeah, almost a 3K subs. I've been putting a lot of time in.
Reduction in
people around me, my friends, they can all vouch for that.
Sell-off is.
I'm like, oh, no, I can't go to lunch. I got to study up for my YouTube video.
All right, so not a ton of market reaction as we've gone over. Having said that, Anna, I want to go over
good
to you
part
in
is,
terms of what's your next focal point when it comes to thinking about...
This is all speculative at this point. The good part is I put in all the work for years learning this stuff. So when I do break down a stock, I can usually look at it for a pretty short amount of time and kind of have a good idea of like what the probabilities of certain directions are. But hey, what do you guys think? Was that kind of a nothing burger? Was that, like we said, someone said in the chat there, was that kind of a dud? It seemed like a dud to me. And it seems like now all hands are on deck and it could be, all this could only go up or down based on Nvidia earnings. Let's see, the put call ratio increased to 1.047. You're not seeing too many reactions across the board. Google gain is still in the green. Yeah, Fomc nothing burger by email. Yeah, they like to keep it vague. They like to keep you kind of guessing, which is the total opposite of how you would like your government officials, people like that, people that handle the Federal Reserve. You really want them to be honest with you because it's your money at the end of the day that you're investing. It's your money that even the big funds and stuff are investing, right? If you're with one of those big funds, it's I just double clicked, so now I'm going to have dots everywhere. They like to keep you in the dark. Here's what they could have done. Here's what would have fixed the inflation problem real quick. You raise rates really dramatically. You put us into a recession that's pretty bad, but it's going to be short because you're handling the problem. People have some pain for a couple of years. We start to bounce back, and then we get that slow growth like we should have. But because we're doing this slow route, now people are confused, and we're actually at a higher point than where we were, and we just saw inflation tick up. So now we have the chance for a lot of bad things to start to happen. Nothing everyone's waiting on Nvidia. True. It's my money, and I need it now. Like it, Manny. Subprime mess is grave, but largely contained. Yeah, okay. All right. I think the FOMC may have wanted to get out of Nvidia earnings report. I think there was a lot of speculation that they were going to be able to cut rates in March, and I think even they thought they were going to be able to cut rates in March by now. But now they're not able to, and their only way of doing any kind of damage control with this is to be as vague as possible and then have a bunch of talking heads come out tomorrow and probably sound bullish. So tomorrow we have 5 Fed speakers coming out. 5. That's a lot. So you might say that depending on how they are talking about things might affect how the market actually reacts after all this is said and done. And obviously Nvidia earnings will be big on that as well. One company dictates the whole day. FOMC knows that the whole thing is on stilts. Maybe they don't want to be the reason for the market going down. Maybe they want Nvidia to do it. Because if they were pretty confident here, they could easily have made the market go up. I mean, we just look at the momentum, right? 30-minute, we have divergence here. We have the ability for buyers to step in right in this area. Apple too. Apple has plenty of buyers down here. We've seen these explosive moves from this area, but they weren't confident enough. Now, Apple could be making one more roll down on the 30-minute, get a double bottom. It's really close to positive. Waiting to see if that's actually able to cross. But the 15 minutes officially in positive territory finally. So if we can continue this, we can actually go up. Yeah, so the banks are going to be the biggest issue when we're keeping rates higher for longer. Okay, banks are what could start to fail. We could get something like SVC? I'm trying to think of it, but that bank that failed about, I think it was like a year ago, maybe. But you'll notice what's happening. Someone's always there to bail them out. So with banks, someone's always there to bail them out. Someone's always there to bail them out. But there's going to be a moment where there's no one there to bail them out. They run out of money to bail out a bank, and then we'll start to see some decline. What does the Fed know that they're not talking about? Well, the fact that they're not cutting rates should tell you that they, in their language in it, is very much so. Remember, what was this? What was the line? This is the line that I really want to pay attention to. Pull this up one more time real quick. This part here is what I want you guys to pay attention to. All right. The committee does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. Now, every single time that Jerome Powell has talked, every single FOMC minutes, what has the language been? Well, the language has been the committee does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range, but most of the time they're saying this is a difference here. Now they're not talking too much about cutting rates. They were originally saying we might cut rates in the first quarter of 2024, and that's because we feel we are sustainably moving towards 2%. Now they're changing the language. they need, so pretty much what they're saying to you is they need to gain more confidence that the inflation is moving down, which tells you that that CPI report actually probably meant more to the market than we thought. And this bounce right here, this was the CPI. That's probably what should have been continuing, but then we got the talking heads to come out and say, oh, some inflation is a good thing. So will that happen again? Do we now get this downturn? And then we get the talking heads tomorrow with 5 of them that then go, hey, yeah, inflation could be a good thing for the market. It's good. Look at Nvidia earnings, and then boom. So there's just a big difference in how they're talking. He's been around the block a few times. Powell is between a hard spot and a rock. Yeah, he is, and that's because they were not willing to actually take control of the situation. They are still reacting based on Silicon Valley Bank is what I was talking about earlier. They're still reacting, which tells you they're on defense, right? Because defense reacts. Offense makes the first move. So if you wanted to take real control of the situation, I'm sorry, but we should have probably raised rates dramatically and pulled down this market and probably suffered a recession, but the recession would have been shorter. Now that you've elongated it, you've allowed the market to now go up and reach a new high instead of coming down and bringing deflation down with the deflationary event. So now we have a market that's even higher, and we're going to most likely see that pain later on, and it will be much worse and harder to recover from, especially if something breaks like the banking system. Increase the buyers after the drop. Does Nvidia want the drop? No. No, Nvidia does not want to drop. And I'm going to tell you why from a technical standpoint. And Nvidia is buying back up above the 20 as we're talking. So if you look at this chart here, from a technical standpoint, where is the support in all of this? Who can tell me where the next support is throughout all of this? Let's zoom out. Well, there's nothing over here. Where is the support? Now we can create a support. Thank you so much, Spin one. Thank you. Fastest rate hike cycle in history, but I see your point. It wasn't enough to scare big money. Apparently, only broke a couple banks. And yes, and during the rate hiking cycle, it allowed them to accumulate cash based on the inflation and then have major buybacks, which then inflated prices even more. So really, the stock market has not experienced that deflationary event, even with these rate hikes. And that's overall what I'm talking about. You need, in order for the grocery store to become less expensive, even if they get it down to 2% and we don't go through a deflationary event, your grocery prices stay the same and they will keep going up by 2%. But in a recession, that is a deflationary event. So therefore, companies will take losses on product that they piled in to fight inflation. They will lose on the economic side of supply because they will have too much of it. They will have to discount everything, and that will then bring prices back down. And that's how I see it. Yeah, so the national debt. I'm going to tell you guys something about the national debt. And overall, the answer to this question is we have nothing in here to hold us up, maybe this pocket right here. So this pocket right here, if it lines up with the 50, if we do drop off, that would be where I would look for some kind of bounce. It might be a dead cat bounce because all the real buyers would be right here to start. And if I just zoom out, you see this area and here, a lot more buyers willing to hop in right there. I just forgot what I was going to talk about because of my ADHD. Nothing to worry about, right? Okay, yeah, this is what I was talking about. So you guys probably noticed that there is a bunch of social issues all over the internet, all over pretty much everything. Well, do you know when that came about? Can anyone name the year that we started to talk about race a ton? And I'm not going to make this about a political channel or anything, but I just want you to think about this for a sec. So what year did we start all the major talks about race, gender, all those types of things? Can anyone name it? Make sure I have this right while you name it. Post-Lehman? You think it was post-Lehman? 2016, 2021, 2015. I assume you want me to say 2015. Oh wait, Obama scare all the racists. Charles, you are the closest. Volcker was also slow in the beginning, then was forced to raise. So that's the point. Now, inflation comes back into this market, by the way. Jerome Powell will be forced to raise those rates. If inflation starts ticking above 4, starts ticking above 4.5 again, he will be forced to do a Volcker thing. He will be forced to raise the rates, which will cause the banking system to crash, and then we will experience possibly a depression. But that is to negate any kind of further inflation, because we don't want to go through some kind of hyperinflation scenario. Now, Charles, you are the closest. It was actually 2012. Do you know what was happening in 2011, 2012? There were two things not related to social anything. It was related to what someone mentioned above. We had Occupy Wall Street, and we had the debt ceiling crisis. Those were the two main things we were talking about in 2012. We were talking about and by we were talking about, I mean the people. The people were doing Occupy Wall Street. The people were talking about the debt ceiling. And what that means is that was really important. Well, the government doesn't want you to focus on that. So Obama was actually the most polarizing race. He actually was the one who brought race and gender and brought those things to the forefront. And I truly think it's a distraction from the actual problem. No matter what my opinion is on any social issue, it doesn't matter. My opinion is they're using social issues to distract us from the debt ceiling, from the Occupy Wall Street, from all of the corruption that's in the system. That is my personal opinion. And we're starting to see the market come down there. Actually is not safe from oligarchy. I'm just saying, it just seems fishy, right? It's like, well, we want to distract the people. Okay, have Taylor Swift date Travis Kelce and you got a distraction. That's how absorbed we are with social media, and I used to be a part of it. I got out of it. Once you start to see the other side of TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, you start to go, these probably aren't the best people. It really looks like we're going to come test the bottom of our daily expected move and probably the weekly. Maybe we see some kind of slight rebound from there. This news has not been a dramatic sell-off, but we have had kind of gradual selling all day after the gap. Kind of moved sideways and slightly down now. SPY, most likely we are going to head towards that. If we get outside of the weekly range and the daily range, pay attention to this low. And let's check what Nvidia is doing before. Nvidia is dropping, someone says. That's perfectly fine. You actually just confirmed some kind of divergence here. It's on a 15-minute, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. I prefer 30-minute, 2-hour. SPY hates me. Yeah, that's why I don't day trade, so. But yeah, that once you start to think of it that way, you got to tune out all the crap out there and just be like, what actually matters, what actually affects me. Someone claiming racism every 5 seconds doesn't necessarily affect you. You know, everyone has their own struggles, but overall I'm saying the debt ceiling crisis will affect your life way more. The fact that we're in all these bubbles and it pops, that will affect your life a lot more. I don't think I've ever looked at that one. Oh shit, this is probably not the right one. Oh, I have NEM. I don't know if I'm looking at the right one for you. Best in buyers from yeah. You could say things like SMCI and AMD will react. I mean, Nvidia's at the level where it has to get a reaction, pretty much. It has to get a reaction here. Newmont Mining. Nvidia on the 1 minute. I don't follow 1 minute charts, man. There's so much, like, so many divergences fail on that. And EM. Okay, so I did have the right one. Just look on a daily perspective. I mean, you got divergence down here. You just don't have it between this here. It's below the 200, so anything below the 200 is going to be difficult, but is it an okay place to invest? And you can look in the past, we've gotten support there before, right? I would really look at a weekly here, see if this is a good investment long term, and if this divergence here can confirm, then you're saying yeah. As far as what we've looked at compared to the Nvidia questions, this doesn't look horrible. I would say that much. I'd really like the weekly to be in a positive trend, and then I'd say, okay, I can invest for a long time. God, that's going to be small. That's what she said. Penny stocks, one minute is money. Yeah, anything you're willing to say is valuable to you and from a fundamental perspective, and then you get a little bit of technicals to just say, is this a fair price? That's investing is pretty good with that. With investments, I usually just have weekly charts because I'm planning on holding it for a longer period of time, meaning 6 months to 2 years even. And that's a good point we can bring up. So the grand scheme of things, the big perspective here is you want to see a monthly chart. Why I think that we're going to experience something really bad. Well, if we look at a monthly chart here, what do we have? We have a monthly divergence and a pretty steep one. So if we get this monthly divergence, something in the system breaks and we break through this guy here, well, we're cutting out this low. We're most likely heading to this trend. If we take that one out, it's all bets are off, man. It's all bets are off. We could be heading really low, maybe the COVID lows or something like that. It's right there. That's why you can see my thumbnails are kind of on the bearish side, because my thumbnails are more about the grand scheme of things. What's that, JD? What are you talking about? You telling me to learn how to read charts? Let's just pull up the first one I think of, right? Oh, I thought Bank of America was that. I see. My bad. Banks themselves, I want you to check this out. Well, what do you think? What do you think looking at this chart? JD, I'm playing with you, dude. What do you think by looking at this chart? From a technical perspective, say wanting to buy for a month or sell, saying it's smart to learn charts. It is. And that's why we have that course for you. Good little course. It really just makes it very simple for you. So yeah, reading charts really changed everything about how I do things. So hey, I appreciate that. And happy Friday, even though it's Wednesday. Thank you. That is very, very nice. Due for a pullback, definitely. Downtrend on MACD. So downtrend on MACD, but the big part here is if we do experience something bad, guess what? We're close to that negative territory. So you do have the opportunity to go into a negative trend on the daily, which could break you below this 200. Now you would say most likely this is where we'd have to see if we find some support. Lines up with a lot of good price action right in here. So that's just one bank, right? There's tons of different ones. I can even pull up the whole banking system there, but I really like housing, and we're getting a sell signal on the Qs right now. Where's my housing? HGX. I really like housing, so I've been paying attention to this. Seeing if it's some kind of Wyckoff or something like that, but really looking for if this is going to break to the upside. How long till Nvidia? Hour and a half. This is space just because. Sorry. But I like to follow HGX. It's a very good indication, and you notice it's moved sideways. So usually you want HGX moving up kind of with the market. It's moving sideways at this point, if not a little down. It's been moving sideways for quite some time. So I've been waiting for so long for an actual break to the upside. And since I've gotten 2 fake outs, I'm really starting to look at this like a head and shoulders. And then we start to break down. We can cut through this. Here's your next support. So we can see a pretty significant drop here. If the news comes out as bad. Let's keep saying that. If the news is bad, it has to be some bad news. Q is really starting to sell off. That 15-minute just crossed. We'll have to see if we are able to hold up at these daily and weekly expected move here. Palo Alto. Oh my god, I never even saw this. Let's look at this one. Holy. These are the things that can happen up here, man. Let's see if we got any hints. No real hints here, just very good, pretty good push higher, honestly. No real divergences, nothing. It just started to drop off a cliff. Looked like consolidation up here, and then boom. But that's the earnings. Look at that. That is earnings. This is why. Like, ugh, this earnings, man. Let's see if this gave us any hints, like with a 2-hour or something. Okay, so you did have a 2-hour divergence. I mean, this would be your hint, but it's still earnings. So these could have easily gone the other way. This is pretty much a 50-50 flip, in my opinion. Now, more probability of going down from up here than up, for sure, but you still could have gone up like this a little bit, and then maybe post sell-off. Weak guidance. That is a drop, though. This reminds me of my Zillow trade from years ago. Oh, God. It's scary. 2-hour, we're able to get into negative territory. So any bounce here with the 2-hour, look for that to roll back over, even if we do see that positivity. This is what we've been talking about. If this is able to break down even further, maybe we get that pop for that right shoulder. So actually, this is playing out exactly how we've talked about on the channel so far. We still have to follow it very closely because of Nvidia. But if you remember with the what was I saying? On the YouTube channel, we overall were like, boom, 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 come down to here, pop up. Now we break down even further, and then we come all the way down to the weekly, the monthly expected move and get another right shoulder. So it's pretty cool to see it kind of unfolding in front of us. But let's pay attention to this 15-minute. Actually, let's check out a 30. 30, we're still trying to set up a divergence right at where we should find support. We really have to find support here. Thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure to smash that like button if you do enjoy these risk ranges. The SPY still waiting. It just curled over. Maybe we do get that selling to come in and we start to get a right shoulder. Smash that like button just so I know that you guys are enjoying yourselves. And we will go from there. I might pop over to Bloomberg real quick just to see what they're talking about. And they're just playing music showing that all the markets are down. So we don't need to watch that or listen to that. DAX is up. But how are your guys' plays going now that you got that FOMC minutes? Are you guys still making plays? Did anyone have to sell out of anything? Let's hear it. Because on this channel, we want to be supportive. When you do something good, we want to say good job. You know? I need to get this real estate sector down, man. The real estate we just crossed up. This could be a huge, like a weekly ABC pattern, honestly. Holy. That would be interesting. All right, so if we get into positive territory here, I mean, unless we set up a lower high, get some bad news around the corner, but you could take out this high, we could go make a new one. We're above the 200. This would be a swing trader paradise for this one. But it's still hoping that the market stays sane here. We're not selling off that dramatically, though. That's the problem. We're still in like a tapering move. We're starting to come out of that tapering. So maybe, so this here would be like our tapering line. And now that we're dropping out of it, you have the potential to see something more like this, just a straight downward move. You guys hear that? The baby's crying. Can you hear it? That's because I fixed the mic, homie. Did I remember SoundHound? Oh, Nvidia did? Bought CrowdStrike on open and made some money, but that's it. I think Thursday, Friday might be time to buy. Yeah, I might wait for the craziness to die down. I have like I have 2 trades, but one of them's mainly just a safety play, just in case anything crazy. So far, I'm up 10%. Yep, a lot more than 10%. Tunage. Yeah, we're starting to come down. Look for that reaction down here because this is where gap filled. Yep, gap filled. Let's see if we can get some support there. We're around a very important area. You know, we did break into this, but this is going to be some major support. If that gives, if this gives, then it's kind of all bets are off unless Nvidia earnings just saves the entire market. Very possible. Apple did that once. Everything was crashing, and then Apple had good earnings, and everything went up then, like for like 3 weeks. And sell. He's like, wah, bad news. Sell everything, bad news. What's a baby company that we should invest in? Pampers. No, wait. Look for a baby. Best stocks for babies. Carter's. That an all time. Disney, no thank you. Procter and Gamble. It's just everything is so steep. Amazon. Johnson. Actually, Johnson, good little trade price soon. Okay, Kim. Hi from Italy. Ciao. We always make fun of my brother because he speaks Spanish like an Italian. He goes, "Oh, me gusta." Yeah, I was just randomly looking at baby companies for fun. It said Kimberly Clark, and it showed the stock next to it. He goes like, "Quiero Taco Bell," and I'm like, "Why are you talking like that?" Sounds like he literally sounds like Some like blatant Italian person from like the Mario movie or something. Tesla. Ooh, Tesla, we really want this to roll up. Now this could be consolidation, but you want this to roll back up into positive territory. We weren't able to. So this is where the positive negative territory comes in. We get these little wicks. We're not able to cross back up. Therefore, the positivity is not there. So if this wants to roll up, that's what you need. You need it to get into positive territory to get a more positive reaction. You notice right here at this bar, this was right as we were getting into positive territory. Notice the strength. Right over here, we actually entered into positive territory here. The strength comes in, and more strength follows the longer we stay in there. Right around here, we see that strength to get into positive territory. We break back down, but we remain in positive curl up. Boom, strength. So Tesla really just needed to curl back up, start to go ham. Pitching Academy, thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Me gusta, the American stock market. What time is it there, LL? Actually, my friend's from... What time is it in Japan? I don't know what time it is in Japan. And if I could call my friend, because he's from... Or he's in Japan right now. 8:43 p.m. Good evening. Do you have like a weird... VIX is climbing? Do you have a weird sleep schedule so that you can trade over here? Yeah, so this is where we were talking about that right shoulder maybe. I just kind of drew it while Bloomberg was on. That was terrible. La la la. 1, 2, 3. If it does want to creep up a little bit higher, maybe test this high up here. This one. You're going to have that divergence right by negative territory, so that could roll over pretty quick. I really think if Nvidia produces any kind of good news, the market might pop pretty significantly, but it's a 50-50 shot, right? So other trading hours. We'll switch this to extended HPT. Charge point. Oof, that is rough. All right, you're way below the 200. You're right at negative territory, and you're about to cross on this MACD. You cross here. Oof, that looks not pretty. I would not be near that one right now. Just not from a, I don't know enough about the company, right, to say something, but I'm just saying technical standpoint. Oof. Now you could pull up a weekly. Climbing a little bit. But overall, you do have some divergence on the R side, but that could just be a pop and drop. I'm just scared that this is going to roll over and go into negative territory, honestly. Sell signal, we're coming right back down into it. Let's see if this 15-minute divergence can help us out. Carter's looks like a winning childcare company. Yeah, that's the first one they mentioned. Even with good news, I see Nvidia dropping. It's how does it drop, though? With good news and the guidance, will the guidance make it drop? Will the good news cause this divergence, get into positive territory, and we get some kind of lower high? Or do we get a huge reaction, kind of like SMCI, we just get a ballistic thing, go up to 800, and then we see people taking profit rapidly and people start to sell off? There's a lot of different ways that it could play out. That's why. Thank you. What indicator are the buy and sells on? It's going to be you can just type this right here, SMA 950 180. I changed this to a 200. EMA 20 buy sell. I picked that up. That was one of the first things I picked up. I can't even remember where, and I've used it ever since, and it's been solid. Hey, Dr. Monkfish. Little AR-15 Nvidia up so much this year, no profit taking. Yeah, that's true, and that's why Nvidia is such a big deal, because what they say, The Nvidia was 1/3 of the Nasdaq. Was it Nasdaq's revenue this whole year, this 2023? So that's why Nvidia is going to be such a big deal. Going to be in the fight for good chips. No way the profitability continues at. Yeah, okay, Nasdaq's gains for the whole year 1/3. So glad I sold yesterday. It's not going to end well tonight. And the thing is, you can, even if you're wrong, you made an educated decision. That's your decision. You did it. This thing could flip back up, right? And you just say, hey, at least I took myself out of the risk of this going down. How much would this be? Let's see. Our point down here. Even from right here, that would be another 15%. So, and then right here, I mean, if this wants to even match the high, you lose out on 11%, but this way you just zero. It's fine. I get you. And I respect anyone that wants to try to play it. It's fine. You guys do your thing. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you the signals, tell you what I see in front of me. And you. That was my college. And you, from an investment perspective, losing the 9, hitting the top of the Bollinger Band. If you want to invest, if you're looking to, swing trade, anything like that, look for the retest of the 20 first. If you get a retest of the 20 and then you see that reaction, you can close back above this 9 coming down. Start to go like that. If this is going to fall down, because this is a very good move, it easily could do something like this, just because this seemed pretty important and it's right at your base. So, like I said, it's time to be a little cautious across the board. I've been being cautious for months now, a couple months. Yeah, I still shy away from stocks that have earnings coming up because you don't know which way it's going to go. Unless you know the numbers, man. But I've just been hurt by it twice. No gracias. Or I'm sorry, LL. No gracias. Our Italian sub. Where's everyone from? Shout out where you're from. We can go states. You don't have to go exact cities if you want. States, countries, America. And look, we're getting a reaction down here. We're finally getting a green bar. We'll have to see if that happens. Hello. You sound like you're from London. I'm sure you hear that all the time. I'm so sorry, Amy. Chile, South America. That's what's up. Zillow. And the first one was very early on. I think it was like a penny stock, and that was back when I didn't really pay attention. I think I was like 21 years old. That was like 10 years ago. And I just really was fundamental back then, and I was like, this company's producing this, and guess what? Their earnings report came out. It was good, and it went up. And then I go, okay, this is going to be a good investment. And then like 2 months later, they got charged with fraud, and I just got wiped out. Eastern PA. Hey, I lived in Scranton for a little bit. Denver, I'll be there for a bachelor party soon. West Virginia, never been there. Latvia, makes me think of New Girl. Cali, what's the weather like? Actually, our weather's been nice lately. I can't complain. I have family in Cali, San Fran. Michigan, I drove through Michigan. Newport, Dominican Republic. That's awesome. It's cool to see we have a good wide range here. That's dope. feel like JR Iglesias, I think you're part of the Patreon. Like you are. Oh my gosh. My screen froze as I was biting my finger. I look so silly. All right, NVIDIA, what are we going to do here? Are we going to bounce now? This is where it kind of has to. It can go a little lower. Did it fill this gap, by the way? Anyone see this? No, we kind of left it behind. Jesus. What the heck? You're moving around everywhere. That's very good, Dr. Monkfish. Yeah, and the good part is, you know, if you're looking more for the investment standpoint, you can just work really hard at being good at your job, right? You can learn these things, but learn it on a daily, a weekly, a monthly perspective. That way, you know, when the COVID crash happens and we see that weekly roll up, hey, you do have a good price at that time. Dang, you think that's Bavaria, Germany? Yeah, we got some good German restaurants here, actually. Where are you coming in? Denver? I don't know, honestly. My buddy is a huge Broncos fan. Wifey, she actually, my voice cracked, wifey actually tattooed a big Bronco on his arm. It's pretty sick. My wife did these too. Kind of a kid at heart, guys. Can you tell from my tattoos? Turtle Squad, Stitch, Coconut. Nomadic personality, so you like to move. That's fine. Dig it. Yes, I am. See, I knew your name. I remembered your name. All right. We are going up to 154, 5 to 6 minutes away from Power Hour, where we get to see if we're going to see some people invest at this point. Really, the news we got from the Fed wasn't that bad, I would say. 30-minute perspective here. You see the selling come in. That's a good selling algorithm. Now we're tapering, right? So we're seeing tapering here. And now you kind of want this to probably start to buy back up and do something like that in order to extend higher from a technical standpoint. Earnings, though, that's all we care about here. Same with AMD. Microsoft's still not breaking below the level, and it has this divergence here on a 30-minute, so see a reaction there. Q's mainly what I'm paying attention to. And we're seeing some buying back right now, right around that daily expected move. So give me a hell yeah if you like that daily expected move, because look at that. We were, what is it, 421.47, 421.64. Ooh. Parabolic up usually has a parabolic down. You are correct. Look at SMCI. And that's why I put out the thumbnail of, is NVIDIA going to be the next SMCI? So hell yeah, look at that. I think the important thing on here from the daily perspective is just keeping this 20 throughout the day. I think keeping this 20 is very important. You don't want any algorithms to click in with that bad news and really drop this thing. You'd like it to buy back up, so it's kind of like the algorithms aren't really a part of it, and then we just see natural buying. Apple, someone was talking about 30-minute here. We got one more dip down. God dang it, I always draw, guys. You know me. We got one more drop down. How this would break up, right? It looks very, very good here. You'd go like this. You got left, head. Now we're creating a right shoulder right as we start to break out. Good chance that we head towards this zone, as long as NVIDIA does not really shake things up. We'll have to see. Video will go through 2025. Are you saying Nvidia will be valued at 2025, like 2025? Are you more so being like, hey, 2025 is when I see there could be some kind of downturn? Very possible, depending on, you know, if money starts to flow into there. You got to think Tesla's really sold off. All those types of buyers are probably the type of buyers that would go into CI, they would go into Nvidia, they would go into AMD. So it's just when they, where are they going to flow out from? Now, one thing I was looking at today was Bitcoin. Bitcoin down 2-point-something%, starting to curl back down. Now, this kind of took me by surprise, this big push. I really felt Bitcoin was going to lead the way, start to break down, but hey, it got some consolidation, crossed up here, swing trading wise, you're in positive territory. This is a good trade. Came back up, but now we're losing that 9. See how we react off the 20, but if this wants to curl down, we could be doing something like this now. That would be kind of in line with the market at this point, actually. Bitcoin shorts are going up, and puts just went up a little bit as well. Their big names are making their own chips too. Facebook, Meta. Apple's launching a sports app? That's kind of sick. That's pretty dope. I like that. Meta. Nothing on the 15, really. They are having a cybersecurity meltdown. That's the scary part. What if we got cyber hacked during a recession? Holy shit. My advice early on, don't take a ton of trades. You can even paper trade. Paper trading is very good, or at least, like, you know, if you don't want to do all that, you can literally just write down like, hey, okay, I'm seeing, like, literally write it down, just be like, Apple, I'm seeing a divergence on the daily. This is where I would invest. And then, you know, then you calculate, okay, this is where I would get out. And boom, based on your strategy. If you take my course, I go through a lot of the basics. I trade very simply, but it really helps with your overall thinking throughout the day. It kind of causes less confusion. I know which charts I'm going to base my trades off of. I know what MACD behavior I need to see in order to take a trade. But early on, I did swing trading on the daily. Now it's going to be very hard to swing trade. If we go into a bear market, you can see a lot of fluctuation. So you'd really want to learn about divergences and stuff. But if you're looking from an investment standpoint, learn divergences, learn daily charts, learn weekly charts. Don't try to trade too often. Try to make trades that you're going to hold for. Exactly. And emotion, you have to, emotion's like 70% of the game. It's like having the balls to say, hey, the Qs are going down 1.17%. Nvidia is going down 4% now. It's going towards that 666 number. That's where I saw support. I'm seeing divergence. We have earnings. Okay, I'm going to stay away from it because it has earnings. And then you want to stay away from other stocks that can be affected by it. So it's just a wonky day. You're going to have a ton of emotion today. Hey, here's the other thing, and this is good for Dr. Monkfish. Tactical Ted, you just said, basically caught the bottom, but didn't want to be greedy. Kicking myself for taking a 20% profit when Meta was at like $80 a share. Sure, kick yourself. It's fine. But here's the other part. You made 20%. How many people in the market actually make money? Isn't it only like, at the end of the day, isn't it like 10%? So you were in the 10% there. Think of it that way. Think very positive about it. and be like, now the next one, I'm going to make my 20%. The next one, I'm going to make my 10%. The next one, I'm going to make... And then you can start to invest and get, longer trades, get more comfortable with exiting and things like that to hold it for longer. But I would never... Here, I'll give you a story. My brother and I went up to my brother and I said, hey, we should buy Dogecoin. It's worth very, very, very cheap. And it's just a meme coin. I have a dog that kind of looks like the dog, right? The Doge. So I was like, let's just buy like $100 for fun and see what happens while it's starting to gain some steam. Well, I turned $100 into $6,000 based on that trade. My brother put double the amount I did, $200, and he ended up holding longer, but I said I turned $100 into $6,000. I'm happy. My brother, he actually held, and it was worth somewhere around $30,000. He could have had like 30 or 40 grand in his pocket. And he said, no, I think it's going to be worth more. He turned $200 into $30,000. You know what I'm saying? Now, he still made money at the end of the day. I think he still made like 10 or 15. But like once I saw 6, I was like, that's good. Now, I'm not, douching on him at all. He still made 15 out of it, or 12 or something like that. But that mental is part of the emotions side too. That it's going to the moon mental. What if it's already at the moon? What if you just want to take profit? How much would you be more satisfied making $500 today, or having a 50-50 shot at making $1,000 tomorrow? I would take the $500 today every time. Yeah, and that's I switched my options trading to month out plays and stuff like that because I was getting beat up a little bit too much, like too often. I was winning a lot, but my losses were a little too significant sometimes, so switched it out to just doing monthly type plays, and then I can get in and out of it all month long. Short-term wall to the downside. Let's pay attention to Nvidia as it approaches our line in the sand, which I would say is this gap right here, 662. 662. I'm going to start to be a little worried. If this news is bad. If this news is good, well, then guess what? You just got a, this was at 745. You just got almost $100 discount. Boom, starts to go up. Let me look at that weekly range for this. Yeah, so we could head lower. We genuinely could based on the ranges. I don't know that we could. To be honest, I hope this thing craters. If we keep going with this slow route, we're not in recession, and we start to see a turnaround, most likely we will get a bear market, and a bear market is designed to make everyone lose as much money as possible. Right when you think everything's going to shit, you see a bounce. Right when you think that bounce is going to lead to more upside, you see the shit come back. So, good man, Carlos. Everyone give us some claps for Carlos. And that's not sarcasm. I know I sounded sarcastic, but I like that. Most I say trade in the 1990s and 2000s. Nothing is forever. Google the Nifty 50. Yeah, so 2000s. I mean, a lot of the 1990s was the www bubble, the .com bubble, which a lot of people compare that to now. AI is a new product, and chips are relatively a new product, and they're saying that those are Nvidia too. Next support around 662. And that's mainly just because that's kind of your last pocket. You do have a gap there. The last time you were in that area, you saw that extended buying. So that's at least what I would say. 30-minute, we have the wonkiest divergence in the world. So I wouldn't pay attention to that too much. AMD still holding up nicely, really waiting. AMD really waiting. Now the problem is now we've accumulated a lot of liquidity here. So when we do get that news, it's going to be brutal one way or the other. I truly think we had a nothing burger for the Fed. Now they did change their tone, and now they're saying they need more confidence that the rate's going to get down to 2%. That is a change of pace. They've always said they're confident they're heading there, but they have more work to do, possibly, which is funny because they stopped raising rates, so what's the work they can do? And then, but that change of the narrative is a big deal. It actually brings back rate hikes on the table in case we see another surge in inflation. So I already gave my piece earlier on what I think we should have done right away, which was a very painful, probably dad style of things. But yeah, it's just a little rough. 615 now, 662 is what I'm looking at, and then 62, or what did I say? 662, and then if we drop lower than that, 627. Oh, what do I think it'll do? Who wants to be in a video won't make a huge move and just burn options both ways. Hey, you know, you can do, what is that? Is that Iron Condor? I don't remember. I don't do that shit, but yeah, you can bet that it's gonna stay flat. What'll it do after close? I really think that we could be seeing some good numbers, maybe with some bad guidance. So we might initially see a push higher. So probably a good case scenario would be a lower high scenario here. This would fake a lot of people out if we came up to this area here, and then we got that selling to come in. Genuinely think that's on the table here, just because, but it's been strong, right? So you really just want to pay attention. I'm not a mind reader, but that's just what I see. Now, if I'm paying attention to the other direction, this is why it's confusing, because there's multiple directions here. If we lose this 20 and there's any bad news, well, we're heading towards this really, really fast. We are heading towards, you know, I would say that 626, 627 area right in here, pretty quick. You're playing AMD for a sympathy play? Yeah, outside DC. What up, FitBH? Doubt it, mainly because it's moved 10% in 2 days already. Yeah, but you do have that potential for some people reading this as good news and getting that reaction. And then getting this reaction would allow people who know that that news is bad to sell near the top. Now, it's totally possible that we come make a new high as well. We have the top of the Bollinger Band for that. 595 tomorrow. That would make sense. If we, okay, so if we popped below this tomorrow, that would maybe cause even more selling to come in. That would be very, 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 very bad, JD. So thank you guys as always for joining. Make sure to smash that like button if you are enjoying yourself. I enjoy the fact that you are here. We have a sell signal now popping up on the Qs. We've crossed on the MACD. We have to see if this divergence down here, this very wonky divergence, is going to lead to anything. SPY dropping to lower levels, getting a wonky divergence as well. Apple consolidating, looking to go back into positive territory. We'll just pay attention to the Qs for now. And then we're going to look at AMD towards the end. It's definitely going up. It already had the pullback. It will be closer to 800 in the AM. And that's kind of my style of thinking, is that I want to look at the forward guidance. I could be wrong. I'm not playing Nvidia. I want to be very clear about that. But I really think we have a chance to hit somewhere around that 800. But that's just at this point, that's just a thought, right? That's not even, there's nothing to back that besides the fact that we pulled back. And if we're able to retake that 20 on the daily on Nvidia, I'd be more confident by it. We see the fallout video drop hard. About to play some Tom Petty while the market free falls. Free falling. Yes, time will tell. Have your limits set and stuff too. Nvidia is basically holding up the entire market. Yes. It's like less than 7 stocks are holding up the entire market now. Like 3. Review. You're like, whatever I buy, it's going to go the opposite of that. So everyone, I'm buying this. Everyone else, you guys make money and I'll lose. Still Nvidia, I really do think we probably get some positive numbers. We see some positivity. This is a, remember, I don't know the numbers. This is a guess. I'm thinking we do possibly get some bad forward guidance. That would be what I think. Now, if they give good forward guidance, we could see Nvidia hit 800. So it's really, if we have bad guidance, I think we could see a pop and drop or just a drop. If we have two pieces of good news, I think we could hit a value that people start to hit the sell button thinking, oh, I don't want to get, the rug pulled from under me, like SMCI. So I believe 800 is a good threshold. Somebody's sad. AI is the new industrial revolution. People might stall for now, but long term it will explode. And that's very true. But notice with the dot-com bubble, what happened? Well, a lot of dot-coms went out of business, and then the strong ones stayed. So that is overall what you're thinking here. People will still sell out of it eventually. I still say Nvidia is a good company. I mean, I have one of their chips in my computer, right? So I'm not at all saying it's bad. I'm just saying it might be overvalued for the moment. And some of these other AI and chip companies might have to be gone. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think a lot of these shit coins will be gone very, very soon. And then I think all that money might flow back into Bitcoin. That's why I've said I think Bitcoin, yeah, it might tear down to about $10,000 one day. But then I think after that, we're going to experience a bull run that really takes us to like maybe 100,000, maybe 125. I'm guessing beats, but like you said, bad guidance and also profit margins get smoked. Very good probability of that happening. Doesn't mean it has to, though. It could. And yeah, overall, if you think something's going to explode, do you think it's going to explode from where it's at right now? Anything could happen. Investment standpoint, you would like a beat down to get a little bit better price, take that profit, get a better price, unless you're getting a dividend and you want to hold it long term and kind of Warren Buffett the thing. But that style of trading is kind of long gone. Unless you started years and years ago. I have a dividend portfolio where I have dividend stocks that I really like, but I have not invested in yet. One thing I need to be better at is slowly accumulating my dividend stocks. But it's just everything's priced so high, I want to wait. HR look absolutely ridiculous. No way this thing doesn't get a reality check. Yes. But also, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I can go look at this. I am pretty dang sure if you look at all this, people said a similar thing up here. Good numbers. Good numbers. Good numbers. Good numbers. This went from 146 to almost 100 points higher before earnings. People probably were thinking, oh, this is going to drop. Guess what? It sold off before and it popped. So I'm just saying it. Yeah, Toby, you stink. That's why I don't do it around earnings, because it could be good news. Yes, once the turn happens, but what will make the turn happen is most likely something breaking in the system at this point. It's most likely CPI going up or something like that, or some kind of post-Fed sell-off, in my opinion. Like, I'm going to go look at what's down the pipeline here. Let's see what the next big event will be. It's GDP. GDP could be a big deal. PCE. PMI. And jolts, that's really what we have. Starting in March, we get jolts and PMI. And so it's like if we get some kind of pop here, we could get a significant drop and then bounce a little bit in March, but we could see some weakness coming. Yeah, so you can pay attention to if they're selling before the event. I'll find that website for you guys, possibly by the next live video. There's a website you can go to that can kind of look at this stuff. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it while I'm on here. It's a pretty good insider. Yeah, okay. Tickers, let's do NVDA. Okay, so as of 1/16. Oh, this here is pretty cool. Oh, if it wants to work. So you can see the selling of a lot of these. So you see there's been pretty dramatic selling for a while now. Slowly getting out. Not all these are the best, but you have to look 1/16. That was last week. Steven Marks, director, sale, price 546 is where he sold, minus 36. So he owned 1%, but it's just a cool little site here. You can see that the now I don't remember if this means that's 1% of what he owns. Yeah, you can see some insider selling here. Full accounting officer sold a little chunk. EV operations. This person's been selling a lot, Deborah. She's selling a lot. That's last year, but it's a pretty cool little site. Back on that. Let's get those up, see what you guys are saying. She's EVP operations. Yeah, that's a cool site. I mean, it's not the most useful thing in the world, right? But it's just, it gives you a good idea. There's a lot of big names on it. So like, let's see if I just take out the ticker, see what people are just selling. Sale. Let's see if there's any good. Just do sell only. Okay. Big name. Really, I don't see a lot of big names. Maybe they already got out of them. One for Meta yesterday. Zuckerberg sold Meta yesterday. Sold 328 shares of Meta yesterday. He sold 600. He sold $21 million worth, $21.6 million. At least that's when it was filed. Had 2 more people from Meta sell as well yesterday. Not as big of sales, 4.4 mil. It's just kind of cool to be able to look at what Jeff Bezos sold this week. I can search for it. I'll do this instead. See if he sold any Amazon. Jeff Bezos, 220 and 215, sale of 2.1 billion and sale of 2 billion. So 4 billion, 4.1 total over the last week. And he actually sold more about a week ago, another 2 billion. So he has sold about 6 billion. Sold another one over a week ago, another 2 billion. He's slowly selling 2 billion at a time. He's out 8 billion. Damn, that's crazy. Microsoft dropped below 400. Sorry, I need to be looking at the Qs. I'm sorry, guys. I just got distracted. Pretty crazy, though. A lot of those big guys are selling. Which one did? Microsoft? Yeah, it broke that 400 threshold. Still holding up where it needs to. It's still holding up where it needs to. Still have the potential here. You got big divergences. You just I think now it's like every stock is just waiting on, yeah, which is scary. It's wanting to turn. We'll see if that happens. Qs I'm going to pay attention to because we just hit the bottom of this range. So one thing you kind of don't want is it to consolidate right before the range, because then you build up liquidity for some kind of drop to say this is holding up as support. Well, if we gap below it, now the support's gone. Legit think this will crash the whole market. How many people in the chat, there's 82 of you, how many people in the chat think that Nvidia will crash the whole market? Just type crash or no crash. Take it like a poll. Crash, no crash. We actually can do a poll. I remember how to do it. No crash, no crash, no crash. Pull back. So far we have a lot of no crash. With a 3-8 call, 223 put. So with the straddle, are you just trying to get some insurance on the put side for the next couple of days? I think it'll move it, but no crash. Yeah. Crash. Jeff put a dent in it. Okay. A lot of people saying crash. We're seeing the Qs actually retest that little channel it's back in. Got to be more people with an opinion than that, but we have a lot of no crashers. Someone's saying up. So if we're just taking it based on the 10 people that just responded, we have 3 people that say down, 2 people, or 3 people that say down, 7 people that say up. Contrarian would say, huh. But the other part is, you know, this is still 50-50. We don't know what they're going to produce for us. We don't know if they're going to lie about their numbers. We don't know if the Fed called them and told them to lie about their numbers because they could crash the whole market. We don't know. I really think that kind of shit happens. pulled out of my SQQQ 12 calls a bit early, but didn't want to risk it. That's fine. SQQQ, it depreciates really fast. They beat and have suspect guide. Yeah, that's okay, good. We're on the same page. Happy Friday. I hope you're here on Friday. So I can say happy Friday. Ed was like, look, guys, we need to keep this thing up for a little bit longer till we figure out what's happening and why CPI is going up. They're like, yeah, sure, we love inflation. Our stock keeps inflating every day. I'm going to try to this week. I'm going to try to, Ted. I'm going to try to. I'm just trying to see how much I can handle it at this point. I do enjoy you guys coming in. I enjoy you guys subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please think about it, for real. Think about it. But yeah, I'm thinking about trying to do this as much as possible, making it a regular thing. And then if it grows, maybe just doing like $5 to get me to assess a stock or something like that. Because this chat goes pretty freaking fast. It's hard to see all the time. Yeah, I'm going to stay live afterwards for the earnings. A great way to engage with your audience. Yeah, I've done live video before as well, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. And you guys just have to know, if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know. Best way to be. If I don't know, I don't want to mislead you. I'll give my opinion, but you can just do it live with... Sorry, there's a little heart here. Live with us, since you're doing it anyway. Hit the like button already. Help this channel out. That's what I'm talking about. Happy Friday. Hit the like button. Our earnings right at 4. Someone said they would be. Usually there's a 15-minute to 30-minute lag. Does anyone know if they have a call, a public earnings call? All right, guys. By Friday, if we can smash that like button, we get like 200 likes on one of these live videos. Show you guys my baby. It's cute as a button. Earnings Whisper has us slotted for 420. Nice. And thank you guys for encouraging the liking. I really do appreciate it. Right at 4, only 30 people hit the like button. Come on, guys. Well, sometimes you got to refresh that. I haven't been paying attention. Wait, I'm going to bookmark. Not this. I'm going to that. Bookmarked. We're good. Sorry if your ears bleed for a sec. Video, I'm so sorry. We got 53 likes. We're getting there. I get to 200 one day. Did I just go and like my own video? Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Kiss of Death. Is that happening right now? I don't see Kiss of Death happening yet. Or are you talking about a 5? I mean, 5 crossing the 20, okay? So there is something that I was learning about Bollinger Bands, right? It's like 90% of the time when the 5-day crosses the 20, you're going to test the bottom Bollinger and then possibly come and test the top or something like that. I got to do more research into it. Bollinger Bands I just like from the risk perspective. Get down towards to here, you can go up. Get up to here, you can go down. Gets tight. We can see a big move. Cool stuff like that. You write in video, look at the last 2 earnings responses, crushed numbers, but did not crush price action. Yeah, I went through those earnings. It's just it's pretty green every time we get a good. Oop, we're getting a reaction. So if you really like these daily ranges, we've seen reactions from them for 2 days in a row. Good stuff. Let's smash that like button for these ranges. Okay, really tell me that this is what you guys want. I think I know by now, but we're gonna do it all week so that I have good numbers to look at on Sunday before my Sunday video. Sorry on the last trend line you had up. I'm just saying this right here. QQQ. So really, I want a reaction up to this level. But is that going to happen by end of day? Maybe not. So we really just have to pay attention to the earnings now. Sick. I should watch my own live video then. No, there's 77 of you guys. We're solid. You guys have been fantastic, honestly. All right. Before we get into these earnings, I'm gonna go say hi to my baby real quick. Be right back.
Finally saying a little more about the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. During a Fox News town hall on domestic and foreign policy challenges, he mentioned he thought Navalny was brave.
Frankly, probably would have been a lot better off staying away and talking from outside of the country as opposed to having to go back in, because people thought that could happen, and it did happen, and it's a horrible thing.
Trump was widely criticized for omitting sympathy for Navalny in an earlier Truth Social post. The Supreme Court today heard emergency relief arguments on the Good Neighbor Plan, an EPA rule under the Clean Air Act, which requires upwind states to limit air pollution that travels across state lines. We get more from Bloomberg's Irv Chapman.
Ohio's lawyer Mathura Sridharan argued for a dozen Midwestern states.
We are spending immense sums, both the states as well as our industries, and on top of that, facing the threat of power shortages and heating shortages.
New York's lawyer Judith Vale represented the eastern states.
The harms will flow to both the residents of downwind states, who will experience health dangers, and to downwind industry, which pays increased costs to compensate for upwind pollution.
Industries joining in the effort to block the rules include U.S. Steel, Kinder Morgan, and the American Forest and Paper Association. In Washington, Irv Chapman, Bloomberg Radio.
The American Lung Association is out with a report saying the transition to electric vehicles and clean power could save infants' lives and help millions of children breathe easier. The association was looking at children's health if all new cars were zero emission by 2035. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nancy Lyons. This is Bloomberg.
And we're back. Buy signal. What the heck? Maybe I should walk away from the computer more often. Buy signals start to pop up. My baby is 3 weeks old. Any thoughts on SMCI? Well, let's go check out what it's doing. It's just going to move based on what Nvidia and AMD do. Daily wise, this is where you expect your pullback, right? So if you just look at the Bollinger Band, this is what you pay attention to, the 20. 20 is where you expect buyers to rebuy back in, even in a big up push like this. This is where you can get that slight ABC, get a divergence up here maybe. But this is all dependent on Nvidia earnings. We're seeing that buyback up pretty good. What's Apple doing? Apple's starting to buy back up. Dang, everything's moving. Why do I still have these tunes on? This sounds horrible. Did I really make you guys listen to that the whole time? Sorry for your ears. Rivian, I actually saw one of those trucks a couple times. I actually think Rivian's kind of cool. Wow, why do I have my chart up here? I am sorry, guys. I am so lacking right now. There you go. That looks all right, so what did we talk about? Using this as support, bouncing back up, maybe getting a right shoulder. Now we don't have enough time to create that, but that means if we see some positivity, maybe complete in this area, we actually could gap higher tomorrow. That or this is some kind of trap. Last end of the day trap. People trying to guess last second. Spoil your baby, save for their future. Oh yeah, trust me, we're gonna let her do whatever she kind of wants, but everyone thinks I'm gonna spoil her. Like, Danny, I'm not gonna spoil her. She said, "You don't even spoil me." Human baby. It's a human. Yes, I had my first baby girl 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks on Friday. If it's your first, you will. Okay, they think I'm gonna spoil her. I mean, she looks like me, guys. Shh. Shh. So, she looks like me, aka average. Yeah. Poor girl. That poor. I think we're supposed to ruin the first one. Oh shoot, man. I feel bad if I spoil her and then she dates some dude in the future and then she's like expects him to buy her a bunch of stuff. Oh. Daughters are 26 and 20. Still spoil them. Same. Everyone here is a sucker for their baby girl, and they are just getting spoiled till they're 40. That probably will be me though. I'm not the biggest gift giver though. I know you heard that, Danny. She knows. Congratulations. Thank you, Cindy. Not the biggest gift getter. I'm more of a sentimental guy when I want to be. Like her letter. What'd you say? You got a robe? That's true. Got you a robe? I don't think you wear it ever because I'm scared we're gonna get it dirty all the time. But they aren't gifts, they're bribes. You guys are cracking me up. We're coming into the last 15 minutes here. Teach them to be financially independent. I'd rather teach them just how to make money and how to budget and do that kind of thing. I guess that's pretty much what I'm short Nvidia 5,400 shares. Is that 54 contracts? Sold at 505, scared to death for a month. Wait, but you... I'm sorry, RV Guru. I'm slightly confused, and I feel like I'm just being dumb right now, and it's not you. I think it's just how I'm reading it. Both have MBAs? That's awesome. Well, schools aren't there to teach them how to function, right? How to be on their own, how to really be independent. Schools are there to tell them to work for corporations, guys. Where have you guys been? They're there to teach them to be a good little sheep and work until they die. Yeah, I remember that review. You did say, and I feel like sometimes my sound is spiking here, so if I'm too loud in your ear, let me know. I was deep in the green, going in, think twice. Okay, so AMD is, you know, Nvidia could be profitable, but how much did they miss by? That's not even that bad. Boom, pretty good drop there. Percent. School system so rigged. Yeah. Why do you think now they're teaching social things in schools? Awful. School should be about math. I already started teaching the baby math. And the funny thing is, the baby learns math and so does her mom. It's crazy. Better have smiled. What? I said that I'm teaching Ari math, and then you're learning math too because of it. True. No crash, but a pullback would be nice, warranted. I mean, my original take on all this was that we were going to actually experience a crash in the fall. We're in the last 15 minutes here. We're almost to the rigged 10, the rigged 5. We'll see what happens. Well, that's the thing. When my dad went to school, he learned how to change his own oil. He learned how to fix some electric work in high school. Like those were the classes. Now all you can do is do like, I don't know, art and gym. Hey, you're good at art, okay? We know you're good at art, but that doesn't mean it's more useful. Yeah. Gender studies. Yeah, that's some of the, you know, interesting ones. I grew up, I had some gender studies as well. It was called biology. It was pretty cool. It was an old thing though. I don't know if they even have it anymore. By the way, I'm fine with whatever you guys are for. This channel's not about that stuff, right? We're just worried about this stuff. But it's just fun to talk back and forth. I have a 15-year-old. Short subject, only 2 chapters. Oh, that was good. That was good. My options identify as in the money. You guys are good. I love this. Biology is illegal. God, you guys are crazy. You from the UK? That's a good sign here. Can we get into positive territory before we got 13 minutes left? I'm having fun. This is great. Mine don't. Reviews like mine don't. My AMD calls they actually identify as crash. I don't know. You don't really have bad teeth in the UK, or is that just a stereotype? I played soccer with a ton of people from Europe, man. Like ton of people from Brazil, ton of people from France, Germany. I think we had some Italy people, a lot of UK. Oh, I had fine teeth, honestly. It was fine. I didn't look at any of them and go like, oof, man, that's rough. Anything, I have bad teeth. RV, that's hard, man. When did you short? 505. When's your expiration? And are you gaining some value back at all, or is the option too close of a date to where you're not seeing that value come back with this 10% drop off? Shorter time frame on Nvidia. I'm guessing you're saying like a 15 maybe? Or are you doing the 1 minute chart? You might be doing 1 minute chart right here. Look at his old comment. I'm sorry, man. Scared to death for a month. Okay, so a month. Yeah. 15 though, we got this. 5's probably right next to that positive territory. We could start going positive soon. You can really see how this wants to form a cup. But are we going to get the chance to? I don't know if we'll get the chance to. We did end up coming towards that 663, 662 almost. God, we were like $1 off from 662. No expiration. Oh, duh. There's no expiration. I'm sorry, my money leveraged against business. So how is that working? If the price of Nvidia goes back to say 500 over the next say 3 months, would that benefit you? Like, would that make your position worth something again? And do you have a percentage? I don't want you to give all your stuff online in front of people, but if you have a percentage loss, you don't have to give us numbers. Or you can shoot me a... That's a little rough. That's a little rough. That's why there is a risk management section in my course. You gotta be a little careful with these things, because once something goes bullish, especially something like Nvidia, 505, you should have known this breakout right here, positive territory, even though it's in the overbought area. This broke out to the upside. We had the Bollinger Band real tight. Boom, we can see that escalate. It would benefit you. Okay. There is very good likelihood by, I would even just put it this way, by end of 2024 that Nvidia is below 500. But you might be going through some turmoil for a while. I don't know how much time left you have on that. I don't know if you can get margin called or something. But there's kind of two ways to think about it. If you get lucky with the earnings and it comes out as bad and they lose another 10%, you hold ETFs or stocks long. Not right now. I am not long holding any stocks. I'm not holding anything as of right now. I have shorter term 2 week to month out option plays, but one of them is for a risk and one of them is for a bounce. There you go. Gilberto brings up a good point. He was talking about that split earlier. But yeah, that is a rough spot. We feel for you. Keep hanging out. Try to keep your head level. Just know this too. It's happened to more people than just you. I know when it's happening to you, it's the worst, right? But it's happened to other people. You'll make it out of this. And you do have Nvidia, at least from the technical side, you do have that daily crossing. Okay, we're buying back above the 20 like I talked about this morning. So this could invite some bullishness in, but I don't think this bullishness will last much longer, all right? That's just my opinion. See a reaction up, get some kind of little divergence up here. And then all said and done, but to make that big of a bet is a little risky. Not, of course, I go over how much you should be applying to options. Usually it's you work with 10% of your portfolio, and with that 10%, you don't even use all of that. You would use something around 20% of that. That way you can always add to a position. You can sell a position and not be hurt too bad. Now I lose one. Up. Should I close now? Get in again after earnings. I can't tell you what to do. The news is in about 6 minutes. Maybe it might come out at 3:15 for me, 4:15 for you guys, 3:15 or 3:30. We'll have to see. I can't tell you exactly what to do, RV. That is a pickle. We totally get it. Let's not pile on any negativity to this guy. It's a rough spot. We've all experienced bad trades before. I think it's a risky day for you. Could you get margin called if it goes up higher in the next few days, or is it? I wish I knew more about it. Ridiculously priced. You could see that thing come back down. I think we're in for a bear market very soon, but those things take a lot of time. To say, sell out and then buy back with some kind of pump, that would be the magical scenario, but you don't know if that's going to happen tomorrow. I wish I could tell you if it was. Nobody knows the numbers that they're going to produce or the projection they're going to produce. Damn, that is a big play. Trust your gut and the reasons you made that trade in the first place. That is actually, I think, a very good thing to say here. If you really believe it's worth less than 505. Gilberto mentioned a split. That's all that I know as of right now. Generally speaking, when it's off into earnings is leaked. That's true, but Nvidia actually did sell off for a couple days before we got an explosive move higher in the past. Now we are in the 5-minute rigged, so we're seeing some buying back up. Will that be taken away in the last minute? We'll have to see. You're not RV, but I am saying a prayer for you, buddy. That is a monster move I can't mess with yet. Ooh. Just took off. RV, we feel for you, man. We're here for you, bud. One of the hardest things to do is trade the stock market. I would think what I would do in that scenario. I'm really trying to think for you. That could be it too. Do you have the opportunity to hedge to the upside? It sounds like you're kind of all in. I have hedged to the downside, just in the overall market. I'm down 200%. See, Cindy's making you feel a little better. You can look at my old Zillow trade from years back where I made $8,000 in like a couple of weeks, and then I lost $8,000 in like 2 days. So it happens, man. Goes above 738. Okay, that's good to know. 738. So we're pretty far off from that. We could see a big reaction. 725 is where that gap resistance comes. Gotta tell you, it's up to you. It's just trust your gut on this. We could get a reaction up, but that could not last, remember? So we could be getting a lower high. That is very, very possible. But to say it really is just a 50-50 shot around these earnings, man. I know we're all here for you, but ugh. Strong move. Will we fill this gap? 1 minute, 1 minute. And we're seeing that push. We're seeing that push. We're going to switch over to Nvidia right when we close here. I'm going to see if Bloomberg is going to cover some.
To watch in the last half an hour, the buying coming into this market.
Not only the buying, but also the big just shift in sentiment, because I mean, it's just been down so heavily all day that it's interesting to see anyone having a positive change at all. So I'm very interested to see.
We have divergence. We have the ability to bounce here.
Let's just think about things beyond tech, right? I think that when we get so captivated on what's gone on with Nvidia, what's gone on with Palo Alto,
Nvidia,
it's been all AI. But frankly,
Nvidia,
when you look beyond
there's no I in between
there's
N and
generally
V.
some pretty positive news coming out of companies, and I think that that might allow for some stability to emerge.
It probably is overvalued at 250.
Yeah, I want to point out, despite the fact that it's a down day, the majority of the S&P sectors have been in the green for a good portion of the day, but it's just not, of course, the type of stocks that most people turn to.
All right, we're closing down.
Real estate.
We're going to switch over to Nvidia here, switch to extended hours.
In a pretty dramatic way in the next few minutes.
We're going to do a 30-minute.
Out of Nvidia, as well as quite a few other
you have that 30-minute diversion
of the tech space. That includes names like Etsy, names like Five9, as well as two big EV players, Lucid and Rivian. We walk through the numbers with green on the screen for two of the indices. The Dow average up about 0.1%.
Thanks, review. Have a good one, man. Thanks for stopping by.
The S&P
Praying for you, RV.
Like
good man.
Higher by about 6 points, or about 0.1%. The Nasdaq Composite, though, has been in the red all day, and that's where it's going to finish, down 0.3% here on the day. And let's check in on the Russell 2000. That is your relative laggard on the day, down about 9 points, or about 0.5%.
All right, back to the big caps I go here in the S&P 500 specifically. As you said, Romaine, a lot of the industry groups in the S&P 500 were in the green for most of the day. If I look at the mix here, 320
investors anxiously await Nvidia results.
Gaining ground today, 174, losing ground to Gina unchanged.
I'm going to keep this up. Volume last second spike. I have my volume on right now. We're going to get through this, guys. We're going to get through this. Good man, Wordy. Good man. Alright, just cried. What does that mean? Baby crying. Does that mean bad things? Or is she excited? I can't tell. RV, let's join back tomorrow morning, okay? Come back tomorrow morning. See how things turned out. We're all wishing you the best, my dude. Check. Let's see if we got anything yet. Toll Brothers. 4%. Excelon. 6%. Very, very daily intraday perspective. Why am I like, I'm like shaking. I'm like, legs are moving. All right, make sure, let's smash that like button. Let's get all the good vibes going. Let's get it for RV. Let's get it for Nvidia earnings. This is what we've been really waiting for. FOMC minutes, kind of a dud, but we got a little insight stating how they pretty much are telling you they don't feel like they're in control fully right now of the inflation. That is something to really, really pay attention to. You're not in control. Markets close right now, or is my live stream behind? Make sure to hit that live button. Okay, there's a live button. If it's grayed out, you're a little bit behind, or refresh the page. This is the extended hours chart so that we can see in real time the reaction here. Pray for Cindy too. Gilberto saying smash that like button. Bunch of emojis. Rock on. Let's go. And if you're not subbed already, subscribe because we'll be back tomorrow morning seeing the actual reaction once market open is coming. That will be very, very interesting. We're all wishing the best for RV out there. And Cindy. And all of us, really. But I made mistakes so many times. Mistakes are only worthless if you didn't learn anything. Write down what you did wrong. Write down your thought process before. See where you made the mistake. Try to change. Best potential in 3 months. Interesting. Hear your opinion. Best stocks in the next 3 months. Ooh, we're getting some green. Did we hear a report?
They pretty much up across the board here, about 4 basis points on the 2-year yield, and similar.
Best stocks over the next 3 months. I know that Apple looks like a good decision if we get some good buying here with the Nvidia earnings being good, but that could only last days. I really think a lot of stuff is going to start to head lower, so that would tell me the dollar, things like that. You can look at UUP. I have UUP on here. Oil probably topping out, so that's not a good one. I don't know if I have UUP on here. $, 30-minute daily. This was a good investment down here. This is some old chart analysis we were doing. This could curl over. We could see that bullishness. We could actually see this blow off top. Praying it doesn't. For our boy. And for Cindy. You're not left out. Still waiting till I see that headline go away. We are going north, but that's people getting excited. Nothing's out yet. Agree with Apple 100%. Yeah, Apple has the potential to roll up the daily. We could see some very good price action in Apple if this is good news. Tesla could see some good price action with this good news. Is it going to run into resistance pretty quick? It could. That zone's right above it, but that's a good one. But a lot of these look like, I don't know if they'll play out for 3 months. Really, if you're sitting on a bunch of cash, it would not harm you to, wait it out, really save it up and keep adding to that cash position. That's kind of how you can invest in the dollar, right? Is just keep cash. You don't necessarily have to make your money vested in something. You can keep it as cash, and that itself is an investment. It's an investment into cheaper prices in the future. That's just something that a lot of people don't necessarily, everyone kind of understands it. It's more about, the thought process of, I can just add to my cash position. Things are really expensive right now, and then I can buy them when they're cheaper. It's kind of like if you buy long sleeves in July and tank tops in the winter, you're going to get better prices. Man, I feel like we're just waiting. Lucid they're talking about. Lucid gave me a good trade years ago when it first came out. I had a good trade. I don't want to flip around. I don't want to miss anything. Actually gonna explode if I don't see some earnings. Yeah, it's like my knee, you can't see it. My knee down here is bouncing. I'm tense. I'm not even in the Nvidia trade and I'm tense. Because like so much is riding on this. Let me switch back to a 30. I like my 30-minute. See if this is able to get into positive. Breathe, guys. Breathe. More water. Nothing bad can happen. Got my Squirtle hat on. That thing. I'd die laughing. Both FOMC and Nvidia are sleepers. That would invite for the lower high scenario, though. I really think people want to get bullish on it. That might be the FOMO people that create a lower high. So we'll pay attention to that. So really we're looking at this, 720, 727 level. Up here we're looking at around 800. Woosa. Yeah, what is your expectations for the week? Yes, give your expectations. I'm going to go check Bloomberg. Lady's got some hand gestures going. Let's see what they're talking about.
And it makes sense, right? Nvidia is the AI name. It is the leader. It's been the market leader this year. It's the the best performer on the S&P 500 index. That's
again,
the same,
right?
Yep, that's the same as last year. By and far, the outstanding performance of the year. And everyone expects the report actually to be pretty rosy. They're expecting Nvidia to show that it has, again, like tripled revenue. And
what did Jim Cramer say?
Looking for even more going forward.
That would have helped a lot.
What's really going to come down to today in this earnings release is that guidance going forward.
Does it see the market, we're right, chat. Look at us.
Continuing to
we said it before. This smart
what
person.
Bulls, I think, are kind of starting to worry about is, at some point there may be an inflection point, right, where orders sort of slow down, where everybody gets kind of the chips that they need, and maybe they don't need to re-up them quite as fast. And we just
expectations for the earnings, guys. Let's go.
Just out, and that stock's down about 1.4% in the aftermarket, giving an outlook. Sees fiscal year production.
I want to switch to Rivian.
57,000. The estimate was for 80,000. It's also cutting 10%.
Usually they give us like
jobs.
a time.
So there were some concerns. The stock is now down about 7% in the aftermarket, bouncing around. So again, a very negative outlook for Rivian, another big player closely watched in the EV space. We know it's been troubled, but again, down about 8.5%. We're here with Carmen Reinecke.
Birdie, that's good.
Nvidia, kind of waiting for that one as well. Give us some size
God,
and scope.
Kramer said that.
We were talking about this with Abigail Doolittle about the importance to this name when it comes to market momentum and sentiment.
So we already talked about how it's the biggest performer. The other thing that's so important about Nvidia is just that it's
guys,
is huge. It's more than $1.5 trillion. It's the third largest weighting in the S&P 500 index. That means
Jim
that
Cramer.
a swing in either direction for this stock adds or erases billions of dollars for investors in the market. And I think the implied option volatility for this earnings report coming out tonight was an 11% move in either direction. If that is what happens, that would be the biggest.
That's what we have. We have the 11%
that we've ever seen, and that is really only topping Meta, which we just saw a few weeks ago. They're huge after earnings. So that's part of the reason why the AI piece of the puzzle is super important here. That's really like the future that investors are looking
selling
for.
Off a little.
This size that Nvidia has gotten to makes it pack that extra punch. And so important for investors watching tonight.
I wonder if you could talk us through the history, not the ancient history, but the recent history of Nvidia and its announcements to the market on its quarterly reports, because it hasn't necessarily always been a great reaction on the part of market participants.
Exactly. And I mean, if you looked at the last couple earnings releases, the move after the report doesn't give us a ton of optimism.
Up to 71 likes.
See something today.
Get to 100, triple digits, guys.
There actually wasn't a big move. And one, Nvidia beat on their report, but just the lofty expectations that investors wanted weren't there, and so the shares were pretty muted. In the second case, they beat. The shares did go higher in the after hours, but there was a rout the next day in the S&P 500, which really pulled back that gain and kind of erased it. So, I mean, those two don't give a lot of confidence for what will happen today. Right. Of course, what everyone I think is kind of poised for or waiting for or hopes would happen is that we see something like the quarter last year where it gave this huge revenue guidance and the shares shot up and kind of took it into this next level and kicked off the rally that we've seen in the last.
It's kind of crazy how uber focused we are on this name. It's almost
if subscribed, Nvidia will raise.
Just kind of, I'm afraid
don't say that. People will unsubscribe. They'll be like, we want it to go down.
As you cover equities and you cover the markets, both of you, like I'm just,
sorry guys.
Is there another name? I'm trying to think that we've been. I feel like Tesla sometimes we've
Kramer
been
curse Stan.
get obsessed about.
I didn't know that he said that.
It is. I mean, I think this year.
Maybe if we hit the like button enough, Jim Cramer will say it's actually going to go down right now.
Those names are really top of mind. Obviously, some of them capture, like Nvidia or Tesla capture.
I'm fine either way. I got my safety play as well.
Or just get a little bit more attention. But these big tech stocks, they're really it, and this is where people are focusing, and it's a trend that we're seeing continue.
Yeah. What's your biggest worry about?
Are we going to see it continue after today, though?
I mean, okay, obviously, we've been talking on and on and on about AI.
I mean, you got divergence that confirmed.
So is it really just a tale of these two?
Now we just need the good news, and you'll see this thing pop.
Should really be looking at.
I mean, I think if there were any signs of weakness, the other thing that people are really looking for on Nvidia's call is an answer around China.
Okay, so there's
That's
a call.
Been sort of an overhang for the stock. It's assumed that they'll be able to develop a chip that they'll be able to sell in that market, and that may come out. Or there will be an
if Kathy Woods
soon.
bought Nvidia,
so I
I'm
think
out.
That's the other thing that people are looking at. A lot of bullish investors say that even without China, things are still really good for Nvidia. So it's not the hugest thing.
Who starts their earnings at 417? I'm with you on that.
Somewhat of a disappointment, or if there's a.
They're like, okay, guys, the market's selling off.
Very, very bullish.
How do we word this to make it sound good?
What do we get either later today or more likely early tomorrow in terms of kind of ratings reviews or price target reviews, where I feel like everybody's always constantly playing catch up on these names that just are on a tear?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. That is definitely something that happens. If there is a big outperformance, I'm sure we'll see price targets run up. The other thing, honestly, even if we have a surprise,
we're almost to 100 viewers. Good job. If everyone likes right now, we'll hit 100 likes, and I can sleep tonight. I can sleep happy.
Anything that they
my baby will go to sleep perfectly.
So,
everything will be good.
I
believe in it.
Up, down, and then
100 likes and we all make money based on these Nvidia earnings. 100%.
There is a surprise to the downside.
100%.
People saying, "Okay, now it's on sale. We still believe in the long-term story. Let's go."
And indeed, people who's just and focus on it just became too much for them, and they step back, and then they get themselves in there when they see the dip.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I feel like on these kind of names where people feel like the fundamental story, the core story is still intact, maybe even if it doesn't live up to the lofty.
Nancy's actually over at the Nvidia headquarters right now. I'm getting some insider info right before the news. She's actually getting debriefed.
I don't want to miss out. You have some FOMO.
And so is her husband.
Could even be any FOMO left anywhere
she actually has her phone on in her pocket so he can hear everything, and then he can make the trades.
Because I want to go back to Rivian for a moment, and I just want to cover that, but I do appreciate it. Carmen Reinecke, equities reporter at Bloomberg.
All right, she was good.
The Bloomberg among the most read in terms of anticipation of Nvidia, which we will.
God, everyone is watching this right now, guys. Like literally everyone.
It's down about 12%, almost 13% in the aftermarket.
Rivian dropping.
Revealing plans to cut 10% of its salaried workforce and set production plans well below Wall Street's expectations. The maker of EVs grappling with stagnant demand and economic turbulence. And Jennifer, this is one of the big stories that has continued. I feel like started last year. And we continue to see that EV. There's still demand, but it's just a reset.
Oh, God, it's still going.
It is a picture of a bunch of different
it hurts. I can't watch it.
Difficulty with the raw materials. You've got the difficulty with the policy.
It hurts.
Right?
Exactly. It's a complicated picture, then it's hard for the automakers to get their heads around it. And then, consumers, there's been a lot of consumer demand, a lot of consumer spending. They might be.
I can't see. There's a little heart in the way.
Because there's the potential of a softer landing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Nvidia, it's up about 0.4% here in the aftermarket. We are expecting earnings
we know.
in
We're
just
watching.
about 2.5 minutes from now.
Nice.
Revenue estimated to be
Australia, I'm assuming.
$20 billion. If so, that would be
Having
the
you,
third
Brecky.
quarter where we've seen triple.
That was just racist. I'm sorry,
revenue
man.
growth. So that's something to keep an eye on. But also anything it has to say about AI demand, which is so core.
My Australian soccer teammates were so nice.
Nvidia just up about 0.4%.
Love, nice catch. I was buying for 714 because I was sure it will still go up. Why would they use the words Nvidia and up? How dare they? Need this for RV. I am down to lose money on a trade for RV right now. RV Guru, we're looking out for you still. Still in our thoughts. All right. How many likes do I got? This is the only way I know how to check. 84, 16 more people. Come on, 16. 16. Give me an L. Well, that's loser. Don't give me that. Hit the thumbs up. Don't give me an L. Hit this. That makes me feel like a loser. Hey, I hope he's joking too. He might have just been trying to get some info out of me to get me to say if it's going up or down, and I'm like, bro, it's earnings, man. I can tell you what the technicals look like before, but those kind of go out the window. I mean, let's just look at this one, right? Get Rivian. It's like, well, we had consolidation sideways, so how could we have maybe caught this from a technical perspective? Hey, 2 hour in negative territory, no divergence confirmed. No way we should be in this trade at this point. We actually have a head and shoulders that say, hey, this thing could go down, right? So there's your base. That's the technical side to this. Nvidia, did we get those yet? That's a lot. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll hope he's kidding. Let's hope that would be very good. Oh God. Oh God. Oh my goodness. We are getting that extension up. They are not reporting anything as of right now. I might have missed something. I did not see anything yet. I still don't have anything yet. Just some 420. Yeah. It's just some 420 things going on. We're seeing that drop off. Oh no. Oh no. They get you excited one way, then they pull it the other way. Look at other stuff. Apple's starting to react from that. Amazon, everything's going to start to react from that. But did we actually get the number?
Around after hours after an initial pop higher. Right now we are looking at Nvidia. It is now lower by 2.5%. People digesting the latest numbers out of NVDA. Some of the headlines right off the Bloomberg Professional Service. First quarter revenue $24 billion plus or minus 2%. Estimates were for $21.9 billion. Also fourth quarter data center revenue $18.4 billion. Estimates $17.21 billion. So again, people going through the report, stock bouncing around after hours. Right now, though, the key.
Why can't I see the report here, guys?
Initial move higher. We're looking at Nvidia right now, down by 2.9%. We're also keeping an eye on Rivian Automotive. That stock selling off.
There you go.
After hours, down 15.6%.
Let's see.
It has revealed plans to cut about 10%
Beat on revenue.
of the salaried workforce. It has also
Off
set
to the
production
races.
plans well below Wall Street's expectations. Stocks today did advance with the Dow Jones Industrial Average moving higher by 48 points, up 0.1%.
Someone send me the numbers real quick.
With the S&P up 6 today, up 1.
Bro, I'm looking everywhere.
Stack lower by 0.3%.
They are saying it's out there, but I haven't
seen. 2-year 4.66%. And today we did have spot gold right now little changed, up 14 cents the ounce to 2,044. Crude up 1.3%.
Things calls at 4.
$1 a barrel. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, got it, Charlie. Thank you so much. Nvidia shares, they are down about 3% in the
No, they are not down 3%. You guys are behind.
Sense of as the stock bounces around, initially slightly higher, now slightly lower. Let's get to it with Lucas Kay, semiconductor analyst at Third Bridge, joining us here in New York City. Lucas,
yes, 5.16 versus estimated 4.63.
The outlook for first quarter revenue looks upbeat. What is your initial thoughts on the release?
Thanks for having me. Just at a glance here, we saw that the beat in revenue expectations, as expected, came from the data center segment. And we're seeing a common trend over the past couple quarters where
this sounds good.
That follows a quarter before seems to eclipse.
Thank you for posting that too, Win. Thank you guys for keeping it up there. I don't know why my stuff's not loading.
So it kind of shows this strong growth trend continuing within the AI chip consumption across its customers. Now, you mentioned the guidance. It's also a strong signal that despite what many think in the market regarding competition and some customers looking to, let's say,
this all looks good
on some Nvidia chips, we're seeing this timeline maybe not as quickly up to par as expected, and that in the meantime,
I can't even find it on here. I can't find it on there.
Purchase these GPUs. This is evident. We saw just a couple weeks ago, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta kind of making this commitment for 350,000 H100
hasn't posted on here yet, but you're saying
on the low end of revenue for Nvidia, which would be about $7-8 billion just from one company.
4.59, and it came in at 5.16.
Nvidia saying data center sales to China declining significantly. And also talking about generative AI has hit a tipping point. I'm actually looking at the press release.
Markets are flat.
Where they are talking specifically about
China's a big deal.
Quote in here, and I'm just looking for it. I'll continue to look for it. But anyway, saying that generative AI has hit the tipping point. I'm trying to make sense though of how the stock
tomorrow will be crazy
in the aftermarket.
We're gonna get those daily moves for you guys up on tonight's video. Might be a little later than usual, so turn on the notifications. Hit the like button for our Nvidia earnings here.
How do you? I don't know. Are you making sense?
Looks like it was stated that came in at.
Feels like a hesitant trade here.
Lots of volatility.
Did they beat on revenue? They didn't beat on revenue. 18.4 is less than 20.
China first here.
If that's the actual number there.
This has been an area of discussion for long-term growth concerns for Nvidia for a couple quarters now. They mentioned that ongoing restrictions and technology more or less sanctions that are being placed on markets like China are going to limit their long-term growth potentials here. And although the company said that in the short term, and this was a couple quarters ago, that they wouldn't see some material impact 2024 into 2025 is
we'll have to see that earnings call.
Some pains coming from this China market. As it stands today, China is anywhere from 25 to 30% of Nvidia's total revenue. Certainly a significant aspect.
Wasn't the 20 billion estimated? That's what I see.
Concern that comes to my mind is the issue of supply. Given that Nvidia relies so heavily on TSMC for their most advanced chips, we're seeing sort of a buildup, a shortage in GPU availability given some of the advanced packaging constraints. Now, I'm not sure if this has been something that has been mentioned already by the company the recent release, but this is something that investors are going to be keen to keep an eye on.
All right, just want to mention that we've got Nvidia shares now up about 1%, NASDAQ E-minis in the aftermarket down about 0.4%. That quote I was looking for in the press release, thank you team for finding it for me. Accelerated computing and generative AI have hit the tipping point. Demand is surging worldwide across companies, industries, and nations. That is from Jensen Huang, the founder and CEO of Nvidia. I do
100
want
viewers.
to point out our Ian King weighing in.
Good job, guys.
And said that
hit
maybe
that like button
some of
for
the
me, all right?
disappointment has
Then I'll
to
get you
do
those daily
that
expected
the
moves
sales
tonight on
forecast fell
YouTube
short
here.
of the most bullish estimate. So the
Subscribe for the Nvidia earnings
in the current
here.
period will be about $24 billion. The company said in that statement, though that beat the average analyst
already
projection
overshot
of
on
21.9
expectations. That's
billion.
right, with
Estimates,
expectations, in my
Jennifer, had
opinion.
ranged
People
as high
could
as
still review
26.1
that as
billion.
a
There's always a
10%
range. There's a high
down.
and a low.
You know what I'm
so,
saying?
you know, we used to talk a lot more about whisper numbers. We don't as much.
Congratulations
anymore,
to me.
but,
Congratulations to
obviously,
you
there was
guys.
some
You
higher
guys are the ones that
expectations,
made
and maybe
100
that's what
viewers
some of the
happen. Good
disappointment
job.
is, and
Thank you
that's
for
why
all the
we've seen
liking
stock
and the
bounce around.
support.
Still up about 2% aftermarket.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We're
that
up
there's the
over
focus on the
2%
high
right
there. I mean,
now.
it just shows you that like the market was looking.
My knees
for
are
something
still
to hang on
bouncing.
to.
I'm
How
still
can I be
tense.
disappointed by these earnings?
Still did really well. We just wanted better. All right. So, Lucas, as we continue to go
My
through
name's Lucas.
this report, what's top of mind if you're sitting down with the C-suite at Nvidia? If you're
Well, I really want to hear
with
forward
the
guidance
CEO,
related
what is
to
it that you
China
wanna know?
in the
What do you
earnings
ask?
call and really see what happened with
Sure.
that. Oh, not me. Different
Maybe
Lucas.
expected, or points you were saying about expectations not being as lofty as
I don't know. What do you guys
maybe
think? Does this guy
expected,
look like
or
me?
Also on the other end,
I don't think he
this
looks like me.
generative AI reaching its tipping point. You know, our experts are saying that as it stands today, the footprint of AI servers across these public cloud hyperscalers are only about 30 to 35%, which, you know, clearly shows that despite the investments that have already gone into the space, we're still in the earlier legs of this AI race. And on to the other point that you've mentioned, if I was sitting down with the C-suite, I'd really ask, what's the outlook on this capacity? I can really point to the reason for maybe these expectations for next quarter not being as high as many people have wanted is the issue of supply, as I said, not really the demand in the customers and, you know, whether or not they are willing to consume, but, you know, what pace that they are going to essentially be allowed to do so.
You know, and one thing I'm wondering though is if you can elaborate a little bit more on that, because 126% gain in full year revenue. I mean, where does the company go from here? You've got also a changing interest rate environment. You've got the potential for a slowdown in the world's biggest economy and other economies not doing as fantastically as the United States, as we were talking about earlier on this program. So what's the outlook for Nvidia to maintain this blistering pace, even if it does continue to expand nevertheless?
I think it's really sort of a generalized recognition of how centralized NVIDIA is to this whole AI picture. You know, not only are they responsible
but it's
for,
good.
you know, more than 70% plus of this GPU market, they're also making investments into their
It's
own
good,
AI
bro. Crying.
to really bolster the
B,
whole
how you
industry.
doing, mate?
You know, just last year we saw
Nvidia
over
is
30
way
investments
overvalued. They
into
need to
private
crush earnings to justify current
private companies that
valuation.
NVIDIA has done.
Down it
You know,
goes.
we're hearing
800 by
that
close of
they
day
could easily
tomorrow.
surpass this
Yes, if you
year.
were Chinese.
We're already seeing some investments pour into AI companies.
It's just past my strike price. Good
They're
man.
going to further strengthen their position, whether it's in technology or IP, to, as I said previously, kind
what
of
else is happening?
That, you know, not only
Tesla not really going too green. Apple starting up, getting into positive territory in the aftermarket.
Here in the aftermarket, Nvidia
AMD, look at that push. That's a good push by AMD. Meta getting a little push here as well.
Caused by the U.S. rules, we know the
Microsoft,
between the United States and China.
A little push as well.
Certainly the pushback when it comes to high tech, that has certainly impacted various companies.
This
US
is
companies,
so crazy.
Chinese companies as well. So interesting though. But we're seeing the momentum build. Up about 7% here in the aftermarket. Just to rehash, the company sees first quarter revenue of $24 billion plus or minus 2%. The estimate that the street had was $24 billion.
Okay, so 24.
Data center revenue key when we talk about AI in this company, $18.4 billion. Jennifer,
$18.4 billion in
is
AI.
above the estimate that was out there of $17.21 billion.
So they beat on everything.
That was down 4 days in a row. Going into earnings, I think as much as about a 9% or so move, if you will, maybe not a quite technical correction here, but now we're seeing.
Man, look at that trade though. If you have this into tomorrow, that'll be very good. And if we can back off here, see that consolidation.
Is going to continue. But now we've just had another headline crossing that again is more than 7% after the
Technicals
earnings,
got it right this time for the earnings.
Down, so investors will
have the
more time to
divergence.
digest, and we'll see if that continues tomorrow.
Other things on your radar, Lucas. We've just got about 30 seconds left here. As you think about this company, what you will be watching in the current quarter, that's important. You think that our investing
fake numbers see me in 2 months.
Just got about 35 seconds here.
Absolutely. And, just beyond even the
We said Jerome Powell gave him a call.
One thing to keep in mind
said,
is
hey,
that
we need
these
good
orders
earnings or
are
else people are going to think we
a
crashed the
couple months
market.
ahead. It could take customers even anywhere from 6 to 8 months to actually receive the shipments. I'm looking at more of a long-term growth outlook here. You mentioned China. I think in the short term, demand from
long-term
areas
growth
like
at this
North
price
and the EU, these growing data centers will be enough to offset some of the issues that we see. It's more of a long-term question
what this
of how
Lucas is
NVIDIA will
saying.
continue to grow that revenue base.
Have they released guidance?
With maybe a significant portion of that missing.
All right.
I think
really appreciate you weighing in on this. Lucas, thank you so much. Lucas K., semiconductors analyst over at Third Bridge, here in New York City, watching shares of Nvidia up now about 6.5% here in the aftermarket. So certainly something we'll watch into the Thursday trade. Right now, though, we want to shift gears, world and national news, and see what's on Nancy Lyons' agenda. Hi, Nance.
Thanks, Carol. The top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee says he
believes
no
one cares.
The impeachment inquiry.
No one cares. Okay, so it looks like they beat across the board. I really just might. I know it's sad to do, but for some reason I'm not able to see any earnings on 4 of the platforms that I pay attention to. I gotta actually see this. I don't care. Hello, Elon Musk, guys. I don't have a Twitter. No. Let's see. Okay, Nvidia earnings. EPS of 5.16, beating expectations 4.60, revenue of 22.1 billion, beating expectations of 20.55. We had the AI estimated to be about 17.1 billion, came in at 18.4 billion. So they really beat across the board. Most likely this is going to make things a little bullish for the time being. We'll have to see. We might be getting some kind of blow off top now. How does this line up with volume? Advice on the next move. Still, I would say this. We still did cross on this MACD here. We got the reaction down. I'd be looking for maybe some kind of subtle divergence and looking for GDP going on into... GDP is Wednesday, February 28th. A week from today, we get GDP numbers. That will be something to pay attention to. Previously, 4.9 consensus and forecast on that is 3.3. So if I pull up the bar chart here, we're going to see it was 4.9. Estimated to come in for January. $3.3 is the estimate, which would mean we're trailing down one more time. So really going to be paying attention to GDP, especially with the retail. The weird part about CPI was CPI actually went up and retail sales was down. So I wonder if that will affect the GDP by any means. Really have to pay attention to that GDP. We're looking for that growth. But we notice here we're getting that positive move. The important part that we were paying attention to throughout the day is this right here. We're able to hold up above that 20. This is a very regular pullback at this point. We were riding this 9 all the way up. This is a 5 right now. I might have switched it to a 5. I'm going to switch it back to a 9 for a sec for our swing trading. Yeah, we rode the 9 all the way up. Last time we did get a reaction off of the 20. We saw an explosive move. Now we're getting a reaction from the 20, see an explosive move with the earnings. We have to see, are we going to come up and fill this gap and then see some resistance come in, because we did see that selling. We can get sellers to get a little overzealous. If we do see some positivity, maybe one green bar here, another one here, look for some kind of subtle divergence up here. We'll notify you guys about that if that does happen. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. I have to hop off. I'm going to get working on my video a little later tonight, so turn on those notifications. Thank you so much for showing up. We hit 100 viewers. Give yourself a round of applause. The other part is, thank you guys so much for liking the video. It really does help, and it seems like we're really enjoying these daily risk ranges. If we paid attention to these daily risk ranges here, we're just going to notice that we got a reaction from the bottom of them. We had a divergence down here. Let me turn off. Let me do regular trading hours. We did have these divergences here getting us close to that positive territory. Now, if we get that more positivity going into tomorrow, the Qs can really start to surge, but it's important we get those daily expected moves. Now, tomorrow, I wanted to talk about these daily expected moves. If we get a daily expected move somewhere around this gap fill, look for that to be resistance. But if we get an extreme gap here and we just keep going, this is where we can see a ton of squeezing come in. Okay, a lot of people, because of this Nvidia earnings, is going to be slightly underwater. Here's my maximum pain. Let me pull this up for you guys. We are going to pull up Nvidia for this week. We can see that the maximum pain, 800, is the number that I'm really paying attention to. Before we get there, we have to pay attention to 750 this week. Now, if that gets extremely bullish and we get to 800, just be weary, right? Be ready just in case something does happen, because we can see people start to hit that sell button around that 800 mark. Okay, if you're part of the Patreon, you can pay attention to the top side of our weekly expected move if extreme buying comes in. So that's something to pay attention to. But overall, we were talking about this 700 level being very important. If we're able to get, and we are, as of right now, I believe, yes, we are getting above 700. If we are able to maintain that, people are going to start to get squeezed, and we could see this keep going. So just pay attention to a lot of things going forward. I most likely will be looking at a 2-hour here, seeing if that's able to roll up, seeing if that curls back down. That would tell me, hey, this is still going back down into negative territory. If it remains in positive, we're going to come up, probably test this high at this point, probably make a new one, see if there's some kind of 2-hour divergence. We could still get a post-Fed sell-off. Tomorrow we do have 5 Fed speakers coming out throughout the day. Okay, so there's a lot of good stuff here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. It would be awesome to see the 50 and the 4 hours sell the news. It could be a sell the news event. That's really what I talked about. I think if we do get a surge up to something like 800, we could get a rug pull, kind of like and where would that top 800? So that's how you can use these. Just use this tool. A lot of the calls are here. If you start to get a little above that, this can be a call wall. So just call it a call wall. Okay, this is a lot of contracts sitting right at 800, a hard number. People like to sell around those hard numbers. So if we see extreme bullishness come in, look for that 800. First, we have to get above 700. 700 is the most important number right now. And then after that, 750 will be the most important number after that. And then 800, okay? Huge Trump announcement. We'll look out for you. Thank you for your efforts. Appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys had some fun today. I hope that the trades are going well for you. If they're not, hopefully you manage your risk a little bit and you're ready for the next one. All right. You could have a next trade literally tomorrow or the next day. Let's just really keep our let's keep our heads about us, keep the emotion in check, and follow suit here. This could still be something else going on, right? This could still be a lower high. This could be a sell the news event, but they beat on everything and they beat pretty good in the right categories. The only thing I see that could be a problem is that China info. So really look out for that lower high. I would expect that to be fade below 700, pay attention to 750, then pay attention to 800. You're really making it easier. Thank you, Wordy. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Please join us back. Our YouTube video will be posted a little later tonight. We post a YouTube video every single night here, and I'll be live with you guys tomorrow, because why would I not want to see the reaction of all this tomorrow? It sounds like so much fun. So join me back tomorrow right around 8:30. Try to hop on maybe at 8:15 if I get some good sleep with that baby crying at night. All right, but thank you guys so much for joining. Really do appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully your trades are going well.